4 out of 5 ain't bad. We heard a Quest took it up for the first time in the new year.
It's a 2020 Quest hook.
Yeah, did you guys have a good Quest hook?
What?
We did.
Yeah, did you have a good Quest hook?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was hooked in by the Quest. I
Oh.
couldn't stop streaming all their content on YouTube.
Oh,
Where
neither
did I
could
go
I.
to see that, John?
It's actually not youtube.com/questhook. It's like a convoluted, because we don't have a verified account yet, so you just have to search Quest Hook on YouTube.
And we'll be there.
And we will
It's
be
so easy.
Honestly, it really is.
It's just that easy.
Or just Google search like Quest Hook.
Just
YouTube.
search us online
Yeah.
and sponsor us. That's all we need to do.
Sponsor us, guys.
Sponsor us.
Or ask Jeeves if you.
Yeah.
If you have to. I think
There's
Google
really no
probably
way to
does.
sponsor us, but sponsor us.
Really, check out our Friendster account.
Yeah. Like us on MySpace. Become our MySpace friends.
What's the one on GTA? What's it called?
Life Invader.
Life Invader. That's the one. All right. Well, we'll do some intros. Tom, I'm your GM. Gonna be hooking these guys up with some quests today. Going down the line, Jimmy, you're next on my Roll20 app screen.
Jimmy J. John here, playing Visredel Veilna, the elven wizard, who right now is trying to remember where we are and what we were doing, since it's been quite a while.
Years.
It's literally we have not played since last year. So
Haven't played in a year.
I think last
Next
week
on the line.
you
What's
were
up?
up in the shipping container in the meeting.
Maybe so. That will be one that's just locked away for the books.
that was a fantastic night, and it is immortalized forever on our channel. You should watch our fiasco
true.
night.
This is true. Next in line, being with a cat.
Oh, hey guys. What's up? I'm Bian. I play Fal Yuan. And this is Shantoto.
Oh, look at that first.
Shantoto's huge.
He is.
Yeah, that's a big cat.
But yes, I play Fal Yuan, the man of many halves. Spear wielding, shield wielding fighter. Half elf,
Man of any halves, as in, oh yeah, give me the halves.
half elf, half human, half white, half black, halfway around the world.
I don't
Halfway
think
to
anybody's
his
asked,
home.
Halfway home, yeah.
Nate, you are echoing.
Somebody's echoing.
Yeah.
But next in line, Nate.
What's up? I'm Nate. I play Walden. Sorcemeyer? Sorcemeyer?
The horse and
He's a
horse
rogue.
source.
That one's not come up with on the spot.
No, that was pre-planned. He's a rogue. He shoots things. Joe is in the chat now.
Joe's
I
here.
Joe.
Dead to me.
Who? I don't know this Joe.
He also is magic. Shut up, Joe. It's my time. It's my time to shine. He's magical. He's a gunslinger. He's awesome. You're gonna hear about him.
You're gonna hear about him.
You're
Also-
totally gonna hear about him in the recaps.
And last but
don't-
not least, a little late, but still here.
Hi everybody, my name's Kenny. I'll be your druid gnome this evening.
Oh yeah, the druid with a Christmas tree in the background.
Come
on. Come on.
It's not a Christmas tree for
Burn that
my
shit in the
group.
pagan tradition.
I can't. The homeowners association would have a fucking field day. Are you kidding me? Listen, my borough's already being looked at by those bastards. Yeah, I'm Joe, by the way. I'll be
All
careful.
right.
Sorry,
well-
I'm 2 minutes. I was 2 minutes late.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Dead to me.
We
like I
noticed.
said.
Yeah, no, I'm very aware, Mr.
The fans noticed. Everyone noticed.
Mr.
Yeah, actually,
Blood-
everybody left because they noticed. They were like, "Joe's not here. We out." But we're gonna do a big ol' recap because it's been some time. We're gonna start back when you guys first left Kel. This was previously on Quest Hook. The date is September 8th, 2019.
My God.
Was when this took place.
Yeah, actually, one sec, Tommy. Joe, it is you that's echoing.
Knew it.
And y'all try to blame Walden, man.
It was
Come on.
just
Oh,
me. It
Walden
was my
has a
fault.
southern accent.
Oh yeah, sometimes he's a southerner / westerner. I don't know. He's supposed to be a cowboy, so he should
It's
be
the
western.
Southwest.
It's
Yeah.
a mix.
Southwest.
It's Texas.
Rave reviews.
From
What's your friend's
Am I
name?
still echoing, John? I don't.
wait, stop talking. Check. Nope.
I don't know. Check 1, 2. I don't hear anything.
Yep, we're good.
All right.
Thanks, Joe.
So back a ways. In the aftermath of the orc battle, Viz did his best to communicate, but couldn't get through with the goblin tries because he could understand what the goblins were talking about that you had saved, but he couldn't speak back. And he learned that they were of Gandersmack's tribe, and a tribe of west from Jasper's Falls, after being driven out, and informed that they'd find passage to safety along the coast here. And this is in the western side of Mithrashiel, all the way pretty much in the just south of Stormtop when you guys were traveling. And Falyuan spied the Rancid Ringo ship 3 miles off the coast and saw the Elven war galleons seemingly in pursuit further out. Accompanying the galleons above were the Griffin Riders, and Falyuan did his best to help the others to build a signal fire as Kenny jumped into the waters and sped toward the Rancid as a shark. Seeing the war galleons moving toward the Rancid, Falyuan decided to take the initiative and load Walden onto a boat, who was slightly unconscious at the time, to head toward the Rancid with Billy Bob's help. Before he can relay his plan to Viz, he sees him loading up the goblins and sheep into the second longboat and paddles off. Viz lets Falyuan and Billy Bob know that if he needs assistance, he'll signal them, and with that, they take off. Meanwhile, aboard the Rancid, Kenny manages to convince Ringo to turn east and pick up the rest of his party, but fails to negotiate on half of the goblins, as Ringo doesn't trust such unnatural creatures. Kenny pleads. He did try. Kenny pleads as Falyuan and Billy Bob load up Walden, but Ringo doesn't budge. Falyuan is taken aback but isn't surprised at Ringo's decision as he lowers the longboat with goblins back into the water. In the distance, he sees Viz is having trouble keep the landlocked goblins and sheep on their longboat. After grueling and intense several minutes, Viz manages to balance and make his way towards the Rancid with the goblins rowing. Upon climbing aboard, Viz is upset that his heroic efforts were for naught, with Ringo passing his judgment on the goblins. However, seeing the value of the sheep, decides to trade the goblins for one of his longboats, and leaves one so they can survive on their own at sea, and casts them off. Pitying their old acquaintances, the despondent party tosses the goblins a good portion of rations and water and wishes them luck. That night, the gang does their best to aid Ringo in his speedy escape. He tells them that the Elvenkind are pursuing him and he's sailing with abandon as quickly as he can to the Isles of Verdun and won't be making any stops, save for possibly the Arches for Viz's sake. That night, Falyuan reflects on his mortality from the side quest to Stormtop and opens up to his comrades. As the party make their promises to Fal, a sudden burst of gunfire can be heard as the Ringo is set upon by the Red Griffins.
Yeah.
Boom.
Marinara sauce.
All right. So, as the Griffin Riders descended upon the Rancid, our heroes quickly learn how much the elves want Ringo dead. The battle is arduous and bloody as Ringo is severely injured, taking an arrow through his cheek. Falyuan, Kenny, and Billy Bob do their best to hold their ground and defend the Rancid as they escape from the galleons in the distance. While Kenny does his best to deter the Elven Riders, Falyuan does his best to take out the Griffins themselves. Billy Bob taps into the power of his god Gobetta to keep Ringo alive to surprise and horror of many of the witnessing sailors. The battle seems dire, but eventually turns in their favor when Falyuan and a few sailors down a Griffin with a cannon. The other Griffin Riders then try to descend and rescue their ally. Ringo, in all his livid fury, seizes the opportunity to turn the ship around and aim his cannons at the group to Kenny's horror. While Ringo's initial shot misses, Falyuan aids in the second, which batters through the Griffin party and sets them to retreat, leaving their allies to drown. The Rancid swiftly flees. That evening, the crew is unsettled by Billy Bob's aggressive use of healing. Our heroes do their best to explain what's been going on in the world, while some are... That was my cat. While some are unaccepting and worried, Ringo is more than happy to be alive amidst the chaos. Everyone sleeps soundly that night as they set sail for Verdun, despite the storm closing in the distance from the north. On the 5th of Minkei, we find that the storm has blown the Rancid off course. Ringo has trouble navigating through the cloudy day, but spies an island to the north and insists that they set anchor for the time being until they can chart their whereabouts using astronavigation at night. He also makes a deal with our gang and explains that while he'll take them to Verdun in exchange for defending the ship, any other expeditions, such as going inland to the island for supplies, he'll split findings and treasure 70-30 since he has more crew to manage. As the gang head to the island on longboats to procure supplies, they spy curious creatures in the distance. At first glance, they seem like large birds, but upon further inspection turn out to be historic creatures called tetradons, bird-like reptiles with long beaks and leather wings with impressive wingspans. Upon reaching shore, the entire party splits into two, with some staying behind to set up camp, the longboats as the other goes to explore the unknown island. The sand is fine and gray, and the temperature is surprisingly humid despite oncoming winter, but the boys manage to make their way inland following the sets of tracks, both humanoid and otherwise, to a waterfall in the jungle. After procuring fresh water, and upon further inspection, Taoyuan and Kenny manage to find a hidden cove behind the waterfall that leads to a stone double door adorned with ancient carvings and depictions of strange reptilian creatures.
Michael Jackson's.
Michael Jackson's. Previously on Quest Hook. Brute forcing their way through the doors, Falyuan, Viz, and company proceed into what appears to be a hallway touched only by dust. The pioneers make their way in and see that they're the first explorers in a long time. Steadily making their way in, the party finds themselves amidst corridors and a door impressed with spheres within an uniting ring. Unable to make their way through the locked door, they continue on. Eventually, Viz happens upon a floating crystal around the corner and assesses that it's magical and could be a sentry of sorts. Wanting nothing to do with anything magical and dangerous, Falyuan presses on. But Viz, unable to contain himself, goes back to kick the crystal and instantly disappears. Falyuan sighs and along with the rest of the traveling party inspects the crystal to see what's become of Viz. As it turns out, the crystal had teleport any curious creatures. The crystal teleported any curious creatures back into the jungle miles away from the waterfall and the temple. Wanting to make the most of daylight, the group quickly get their bearings and decide to trek back to the waterfall to secure the fresh water for the Rancid. Along the way back, however, Falyuan spies a group of tribal elves and tall bipedal reptiles resting along shore a pond. Considering his injuries and what appears to be saddles of the creature, Falyuan agrees with Viz to make their presence known rather than sneaking away slowly or making combat. At first, the tribal warriors seemed guarded, and Common was not a known language to them. However, familiar ground was found through broken Elvish. With both parties more relaxed, the leader of the pack introduces himself as Tonri and tells our party that they are Bombin, people of the island. After a brief discussion, Tonri suggests that they visit their leader, Henri, to find more answers. Tonri, realizing that the party have no mounts, offers them to ride along what they now know are Allosauruses and race through the jungle to their home village. The Bombin village was a spectacle to behold for our esteemed guests and villagers alike. As the party stares in bewilderment of villagers, children, and tiny dinosaurs, Tonri advises them not to mingle with the villagers, and they haven't had visitors for decades. He continues to lead them to the village center and up a pagoda where they're greeted by 5 men in flowing robes. Tonri leaves the party there as he fetches Henri. If someone were to question the heroes about their encounter with Henri, they'd probably reflect and say that they were surprised at how easy it was to trust him. He was as wise as he is old and produced a calm demeanor. As the robed men bow to him, Henri wastes no time in welcoming the party, and as if gazing deep into them, asks what brings them to the Bonbin village. Falyuan is stumped at first and explains that they were lost at sea and happened upon the island, but soon learns that Henri sought a deeper answer. He contemplates and tells Henri why he set out on this journey, which pleases Henri. Upon asking Viz answers that he wants to protect people and keep them from the evil of the world. Henri insists that if the party is to accomplish their goals, they need to enter the Shrine of the Davari and blesses them with a prayer. As they leave, Henri As they leave Henri, they're told they're at the island of Dragons, Isle of Dragons, which is until then we had no idea where we were. Tonri explains that Henri has kept the island safe from the outside world by conjuring storms, which Viz surmises perhaps Henri had brought them here. That evening, Tonri assists the gang with trade in supplies. Viz purchases a Compy for a pet, while Falyuan trades his old spear for an Allosaurus egg. Forgot you did that. Tonri quickly notices the Falyuan is injured and is surprised he hasn't been healed properly. After a quick exchange, Tonri fetches Henri, who examines Falyuan and begins to heal his leg with Viz's help. With my help. While Billy Bob's use of healing magic was intimidating and aggressive, Henri's use was an ember of a feat that healed Falyuan's leg completely. Falyuan is amazed, but his demeanor quickly changes when he notices Henri's exhaustion in the process. Henri explains that he can help mend Falyuan's hand, but will require rare items from the island, which Falyuan agrees to obtain. That night, Falyuan stays and gets advice on how to care for the egg, while Viz goes to mingle in the village despite Tonri's prior warnings. Viz then happens upon the stall of a crazed merchant, which every other villager seems to ignore. Drawn to an amulet, he quickly tries to trade for it, but the merchant denies him and states that it's not for trade, for all the gems in the world. Viz then pulls out a vial of squid ink and weaves a splendorous tale, which the tricked merchant quickly trades for. A successful Viz returns to the group prouder and sturdier, as it was an amulet of protection, I think, and finds Tonri has readied up a trade caravan for them and is ready to go.
Lots of relic sticks.
Previously on Quest Took. Dun dun.
Dum dum.
That night, the gang heads out to the ransom, along with Tonri's trade caravan. Kenny takes the time to talk about the island and its inhabitants with Tonri, who fills him in on all the apex predators, which include a gargantuan Trexosaur, a Tritop, and the Raptors. He informs the group on where to find the ingredients to heal Falyuan's hand. Everyone begins getting to work as they reach the cliffside watching over the ransom. Josh Brolin, Falyuan, and Kenny begin rappelling downward and begin establishing pitons to lower supplies down. Falyuan spies seashells and chalk along the cliffs, and with Kenny's help, procures them. In the meantime, Walden, that's me, Viz,
That's me.
Learn that Tonri has traded supplies for firearms and offers to train the Bondmen on how to properly handle them throughout the night. In the evening, Kenny, as if a part of the pack, hunts with the Bondmen Allosaurus. The next day, the group parts way with Tonri and make their way back to the Shrine of the Davari. When they reach the waterfall, however, they learn that they're being hunted by a pack of raptors. Falyuan and Billy Bob quickly rush to defend the group, not wanting to let the raptors break their ranks while the rest establish fire from behind.
Clever
The
girl.
battle is quick, and much to their relief, painless. But it is short-lived when the tremorine steps of a giant Trexosaur are heard closing in. The gang immediately retreats behind the waterfall before the Trexosaur sets upon them.
Go.
As they scurry to the shrine, a bellowing roar can be heard as the dinosaur dives into the corpses of the slain raptors.
Meals on Wheels.
All right. Retracing their way through the shrine, the crew make their way through the engraved door, opening up to a tapestry-lined chamber containing 5 wells and a large rectangular pool. As the group begins surveying the room, Falyuan takes the time to view the tapestries and find them strange and unsettling as they seem to depict angels, demons, and fierce battles with magic and bloodshed. Viz assessed that the pools are in use for scrying, which the group begins to look into. Viz and Falyuan begin cleaning up the scrying wells, and visions begin to emerge. Each well seemed to show the events pertaining to different Davari artifacts around the world, some more ominous and foreboding than others. One of which included corvée in flames, along with the revelation that Zafir and Don Johnny being the same person to Viz and Walden. With their newfound knowledge, the gang thinks it'd be wise to head to Mathican's Rest after obtaining their emerald from the Isles of Verdun. Upon exploring further, The group finds various items scattered throughout the adjacent rooms, and along with them, a monstrous gelatinous cube, which tries to consume them. Battle was slow but fairly painless for the most part, as the boys were able to take it out with various firearms and spells. Upon victory, they were able to find what seemed to be a treasure map to explore. Venturing further into the shrine, the explorers find what they could only surmise to be a doomsday clock in a nearby room with disturbing readings that correlate with their visions in the scrying pools. Before they could continue any further, their tracks are halted by the familiar and dangerous indications of a black pudding. Falyun sighs and stabs the pudding preemptively.
Miso soup.
As he is wont to do.
The group quickly goes to engage the black pudding and ultimately defeats it in similar fashion to the gelatin of the previous rooms. With all known threats out of the way, they continue to figure out the mysteries of the shrine and make their way through the elusive walls and into the cavernous maw, with a staircase leading deeper into the shrine. Wanting to cover their bases first, the group decides to venture past the stairs and through yet another illusory door, eventually to what appears to be a study, with 2 skeletons, which Falyun also stabs, preemptively, to be safe. Our gang quickly gets to work investigating, and determined that the skeletons were people who committed suicide by cyanide. With their possessions were a map, a bag of holding, a magical rod, wand, sword, and a hammer. Walden finds books pertaining to the rites and rituals of the Dvari. I forgot about that. I should probably look at that. While Kenny finds an encyclopedia of their history. Biz and Falyun break a lock to a book and find text and information on how to better use the scrying pools as a method of fast travel. Kenny is an industry term, fast travel. Kenny ascertains that the books were all written thousands upon thousands of years before their time, as the language was an ancient common. After clearing the room to the best of their abilities, the boys decide to backtrack and descend deeper into the cavernous maw, where they find broken depths and hear moaning from around the corner, along with a pair of black pudding. Investigating further, Falyun and Walden find that the moans were coming from a pair of Bonbin tribesmen shackled to a wall. But before they could rescue them, a psionic creature makes its presence known. What is that? The psionic?
Psionic.
Psionic,
Oh,
yeah.
I was right.
Modern warfare?
Yeah, Modern Warfare.
Modern warfare. Finding themselves literally between rocks and hard places underground, our boys find themselves in a tense battle with the psionic.
Psionic. Yeah.
With the psionic creature, Kenny, spell it like psionic. You're killing me here, man. With the psionic creature, Kenny identifies as a lore-lost flayer, something that drains and feeds on sentience and intelligence. Viz takes no chances and immediately uses his newfound wand to create walls of fire to buy them time to flee. As Kenny and Viz scramble to find an escape route, they're surrounded by large black puddings and grotesque beasts made of brains and limbs. Falyun rushes to free the bonbin with Billy Bob's help. Walden finds an altar floating behind the bonbin filled with blood and organs and takes the time to destroy it, as one should, causing an outcry in the distance. As Walden, Kenny, and Viz do their best to make quick work of their foes, the flayer's laugh rings in everyone's mind as it makes its way back to the battlefield through hidden paths. Falyun finishes freeing the bonbin and rounds the corner, only to come face to face with the flayer. The battle is grueling as the boys do their best to avoid the flayer at any and all costs, with Viz, Walden, and Falyun nearly going down from the searing head pains, but ultimately triumph by focusing all their firepower. Kenny takes the time to confirm the kill, to be safe, with quite a bit of hitting. With all dangers and tensions dying down, our spelunkers cover their bases and go to explore the surrounding area. Kenny and Falyun find a deep well up a staircase with a mysterious amorphous blob that warns them that the Illithins are watching. Finding it ominous, they go to cover the adjacent rooms to make sure there aren't any other threats. Walden and Viz find what seems to be the personal spaces of the flayer along with an active portal, while Falyun and Kenny find what looks like a lab space in the opposite hall. Walden and Viz decide to rejoin their friends and explore the lab before the portal. As Falyuan breaks through display cases to retrieve the Spear of Interest, Viz reaches for a book from a shelf and hears a foreboding
merriment. Realizing the shelves were trapped, Viz asks Walden for help in disarming them, who does his best to no avail as the room begins to flood with water. Falyuan instinctively rolls out of the room and the steel doors close up on them. Kenny insists that he and Falyuan rushed to the Ichor, thinking it was going to try to attack their trapped friends. Meanwhile, Viz does his best to keep the water from flowing in, using his magic to the best of his ability. And by that, I think you used a
tensor's
floating disc.
A tensor's floating disc, yeah. Also, the bookshelf, I did not activate it with my pull. The click was just to let us know that the bookshelf was trapped, but I didn't activate it. I want that on the books.
I remember it was you.
It was not.
But Kenny and Falyuan rush into the Icarus room to find it hasn't moved at all. However, they also find that a steel door has barred their way from the eastern side as well. Falyuan searches nearby crates looking for something that would get them into the room, and Kenny turns into a bear to keep himself between Falyuan and the Ichor, wary of its dark presence. His concerns prove true as the Ichor seeps into his mind and begins to influence him. As Walden scurries about finding a way out or a way to stop the water, Viz moves furniture around to try to block the water, only to provide a bigger opening for it to come in. Falyuan fails to find anything of use and looks to Kenny for advice, but finds him entranced. Walden manages to find a switch that allows some display cases to shuffle around, and taking a gamble on it, being another trap, manages to disarm the flooding waters to the relief of himself and Viz. Falyuan tries to snap Kenny back to attention as the steel doors open, but is unable until the waters flood out and rush over Kenny and break his mesmerized state. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief and returns to investigating and looting the display cases of their weapons, gems, and artifacts. Falyuan expresses concern that recent events seem all too familiar to Sally's demise back in Gallisbury. Kenny investigates the southern bookshelf, only to set off a trap that lights the entire shelf ablaze. Seeing this, Viz scrambled to save as many books as he can along the northern shelf, only to set that shelf ablaze as well, and falls unconscious from the trap. Everyone rushes out of the room
blew my face off,
with Kenny hauling Viz, who manages to hold on to a book despite losing his eyebrows. Kenny resuscitates Viz as the boys scramble into the western wing to escape from the fire. Falyuan, wanting nothing to do with the portal, goes to the desks and finds books and correspondences of the Flayer in a strange language, along with medical garb strewn about. Walden finds stairs descending deeper into the darkness to the west. As Kenny and Viz examine the calmly swirling portal, Kenny tells the gang how the Ichor had promised his family name would live forever, before using his newfound wand to disable the portal, and a blood-curdling cry was heard in the distance. The boys rush in the direction of the Ichor and decide to burn it down. To cover their tracks, Walden descends the stairs, but finds it endless before returning to the group. That night, the boys decide to rejuvenate and leave the temple to gather wooden supplies before camping down in safety of the temple's well room. Macho Man Randy Savage.
Ooh, yeah.
Quiet falls on our wayward party that night, but not without discontent, as each member, save Kenny, seems to suffer from inconveniences from certain newly acquired items. While everyone's sleeping, Viz studies and surmises that the items they stole from the display cases are cursed. The next morning, as everyone prepares to leave, Walden talks to the Bonbin tribesman and asks Billy Bob for his mace back. None the wiser. He's acting strangely. None the wiser. The group go to leave together with the Bonbin via the crystal, but are confused why they want to go why they want to go separately. Viz, Kenny, and Falyuan are unable to convince them and decide to arm them for their safety. The morning is bright and warm, and the boys find themselves in familiar territory as they jump through the crystal. Kenny starts planning their day to accommodate Falyuan and Donder, and Falyuan begins to swell with both relief and anxiousness when Walden expresses his displeasure with the risks of such endeavors. Viz and Kenny try to reason with Walden, but Falyuan is quiet and understanding. as he wouldn't want to put anyone in harm's way for his own recovery. The search for the Tri-Top proves difficult as the jungles prove to be a maze. After wasting many hours looping around, the boys finally find a trail leading to the mesa Tonri had told them about. There, Walden spies 3 massive Tri-Top grazing by the river. The original plan was to carefully lure out a single Tri-Top and focus their firepower on it before the others in the pack would notice. But, as fate would have it, that would not be the case, as the boys end up fighting all 3 because of Walden's massive fuck-up. The battle is tense and filled with many terrifying moments, but ultimately results in victory, as they're able to slay 2 of the Tri-Top and scare off the 3rd.
Mail-in rebates.
A wave of relief washed over Fao Yuan as our heroes triumphed over the Tri-Top dinosaurs. To avoid drawing any unwanted attention, they quickly carve out the horns, bones, rations, and travel north in search of the meadows. As they march, Viz reminds them of the meadow lily's characteristics to keep an eye out for. That evening, Fao Yuan gives Walden a rib from the Tri-Top as thanks for his help as they follow some tracks leading towards the mesa. Kenny proposes that his nullifying stick could lift the curses of the group, but Viz is concerned that it might render the items useless without lifting the curse themselves. In the morning, Walden leads the group in following the tracks, hoping it leads to more Tri-Tops, but discovers that the tracks actually lead to a slumbering Trexosaur's den. Terry confirms that the meadow lily that Fao Yuan seeks lie within the den. Walden decides to try and stealthily pick a few lilies while the others sit back and waiting. While Walden is able to pick the plants, he's unable to sneak back silently, and a hasty retreat ensues. Viz and Kenny quickly lay traps and webbings to slow the awakened Trexosaur as they haul ass west, where they manage to escape further up the mesa. In the rush of their escape, Fao Yuan expresses his concerns to Walden how he's storing the flowers, which Kenny guides him on proper handling. That evening, Kenny guides them miles north up the volcanic mountain in hopes of helping out Donder before returning to the Bonbon village. They find a cave with a strange altar inlaid, where they find shelter from the cold and wind. Walden is creeped out by the seemingly ordinary altar and spends his night as far away from it as possible. During his watch, Fao Yuan confers with Donder to see how he feels about what could potentially be his freedom in the morning. Donder reminds him of the curse, and its ambiguity makes Fao Yuan think twice about getting his hopes up. Nonetheless, the boys awaken just before dawn to prepare the ritual for Donder. A beautiful morning sunrise breaks through the clouds, but Donder is not set free upon his bed of seashells. On the 10th of Minkei, our heroes begin descending the mountainside towards the Bonbon village. As they cut across the stream, they begin noticing fresh tracks and markings of several raptors in the area. They do their best to avoid conflict, but miles ahead they realize they're being hunted when Walden spots several sets of eyes peering at them through the jungle ahead.
With the raptors taken care of, the boys hurry back to the village and catch up with Tonri. A nervous Fao Yuan inquires about the ritual with Unri and pulls out their Tri-Top carvings. The village soldiers are shocked, and Tonri exclaims that slaying a Tri-Top is no easy feat. That night, to calm Fao Yuan's nerves, Viz gets himself and Fao Yuan rip-roaring drunk. Kenny goes on a stroll around the town and mingles with the villagers. The next morning, Fao Yuan wakes up finding himself strapped to a bed in a lavish outbuilding, surprisingly well rested. Viz awakens in the woods a mile away, naked and armed with a handcrafted spear. A patrolling Bonbon guard finds him and takes him back. The boys all reconvene at the training lodge, where Kenny and Billy Bob are having breakfast. After eating, they all proceed to see Unri. Despite a night of cajoling and relaxing, Fao Yuan is still incredibly nervous. As they approach the stairs, the gang sees Unri talking with Ringo. Kenny and Viz get Ringo up to speed on the plan of action before parting ways to speak with Unri. Fao Yuan tells Unri that he's not nervous for himself, but he's nervous for Unri at the alleged cost of performing such a ritual, and tells him that he's not willing to exchange a life for his fingers. Unri simply smiles and tells him not to worry, and has Fao Yuan drink an elixir before insisting everyone mount up for a quick trip. Fao Yuan suffers from severe vertigo from the elixir, and Viz helps him with levitation. The combined parties of the boys and Unri race south of the village on a trail to a familiar plateau, where they had spent an hour climbing up the mountain to a cave with a familiar altar. The parties bring Fao Yuan onto it, where Unri begins placing various herbs and the alchemical ingredients the boys had procured into a bowl, and begins mixing before insisting Fao Yuan chews on it. Unri begins his ritual, and Fao Yuan begins glowing gold from within. Light begins to fill every vein in his body, and his fingers begin to painfully rejuvenate. Viz is concerned as he senses Unri's druidic magic is incredibly powerful, while Kenny feels traces of familiar renaissance. Right? Yeah. Resonance. Yeah. That's the word. After 30 minutes, the ritual begins to die down. Fao Yuan is healed, and Unri is exhausted. Fao Yuan rushes to Unri's aid on unsteady feet and wishes to express his gratitude. But the moment never comes as the Bonbin sentries shout out warnings that something is approaching from the skies. As if second-winded, Unri whips to his feet and insists everyone mounts up and hurry. The two parties blaze down the mountain towards the beating wings, ready for danger. As they drew closer, they realize a red dragon has descended from the skies and has blazed a line in the sand, blocking their entrance to the Bonbin village. A fearless Unri approaches, and we learn the red dragon, Kosaroth, and Unri are acquaintances. After a brief exchange, the boys learn from Kosaroth that the Davari are a cosmic force, and that together they can, quote, break the wheel with their immense power combined. Kosaroth deems them responsible enough to uptake their endeavors and tasks them with fulfilling their contract in obtaining the stone from the Isles of Verdun before flying off to Mathigan's Rest. I think with his party of dragons, one would assume.
He said he had other dragons he was going to bring along with him after we told him where one of the Davari stones were.
Yeah.
And that is where we will pick things up.
That's right, so we're coming off the heels of having just, like, the dust is settling from a dragon wing, having just, like, taken
he
off.
He has just left, yes. Yeah. Leaving you guys with with Unri, a couple of the Bonbin soldiers, like the scouts.
Yeah.
They've got their Allosauruses and stuff like that, and you guys are sort of mounted up with them still, as Unri is just sort of, like, standing there. And I assume the fires have sort of died down now. You know, they're only, like, an inch or two high. Unri sort of, leans heavily on one of the Allosauruses as one of the soldiers sort of descends and, like, gives him a hand. What do you guys do?
Viz is going to sort of catch his breath for a second as we just had a successful encounter with a fucking dragon. So that's wild. How is everyone else feeling about that? Everybody?
Yeah, that is a bit much. Fao Yuan will go up to Unri and help him get settled and ask him, I do not suppose your friend can help us deal with a certain white dragon.
Yeah.
He smiles weakly. Let us return to the village. We'll talk and rest.
Yes.
That sounds like a very good plan, Henri.
Yes.
He gets some help in mounting back up by one of the soldiers. And they begin to trot off. I guess sort of with you guys in tow. You guys are more than welcome to chat and stuff like that as you begin to head. You're not very far outside the village. I think we had sort of discussed.
React to a flyby by a dragon, Henri?
Oh, it's not the first time.
He seems rather chummy to you.
It seems like Unri's, pretty exhausted. So he seems like he'd be willing to talk once you guys get back to the...
We'll save the banter once
monastery.
he's had some soup and a nap.
Anything you guys want to do in the meantime?
I'm gonna go up and poke and prod at Fao Yuan's fingers now that they're completely healed and.
Yeah, how you feeling, Fao?
For a little while, I'll be like, so, tingling sensation, full dexterity, you have a
Very
They feel like baby fingers.
feel clean and so strange yet familiar.
Yeah, you feel
Yeah,
like back
look
to
at
your old self, dude.
They don't even have any dirt under the nails.
Yeah, pretty.
So after a little bit of palling around and stuff, Tonri eventually finds you guys, and says, "Well, Unri would like to meet with you in the pagoda. Please follow me." And sort of, leads you guys unless there's any protest.
No, but like, how is the town? Is the town like at
The
least
town
a
seems
little,
undisturbed,
By the fact
like,
that there was a dragon right here.
unfazed? Yeah, okay.
undisturbed.
So,
All right.
Yeah,
So
they're like,
this
"Oh,
happens
hey
often.
guys, that's weird, and I mean, right? You
Which is
guys-
something they're used to. I guess the dragon visits often, which
Yeah,
I don't
the
know
red
how that's
dragon.
possible,
I mean,
but
Yeah,
here
right.
we are.
For once we agree that seeing a dragon is weird, and this is not natural.
Yeah, but that dragon like nearly killed Walden and Viz, or Walden and you.
Yeah, don't remind me.
Yeah, I don't have to remind you, but still, like, the dragon just drew a line in the sand and then had a conversation with this guy. By the way, he just fixed your hand, which that's amazing.
Yeah. It is good to know that not all dragons are trying to kill us, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's good to know that, we're not the strongest people in the world, I suppose.
And it is also good to know that we have extra ingredients to restore more limbs if need be.
Yeah. Just in case, I guess. We also will exhaust and nearly kill a shaman every time, so. I'd like to take this moment as well to say hello to Aiton and Miss Haley. Thank you for watching
What
Quest Hook.
up? Welcome to the Hook.
Say hi in chat. You
What's
know,
up?
we're all here to say hi.
So is this guy like is when we walk
So
into the
yeah, so you
pagoda-
guys sort of like, Tonri leads you up the stairs to the pagoda, and this is the first time you guys weren't invited really inside before, were you?
No.
Tonri sort of came out to you.
Yeah.
So going inside, it's reminiscent of like one of those like sweat lodge type places, where there's like lots of comfy seats around and stuff. There's like a big like a bunch of heated stones and stuff in the center. But instead of it being like steaming and stuff right now, there's just like some like a grate laid on top and a kettle and stuff like that going.
Where's he?
Tonri's sort of laid out on some of the pillows, just kind of chilling.
Like, does he look okay, or does he look
He looks,
like
I mean, he
laid
looks
out,
like pale, but he looks okay. He's propped up on some pillows and he's got like a cup of tea. He's like, boys, come in. His voice definitely seems weaker than when you first met him today, obviously.
I'll like
the five of you
run
come.
up and pop a squat right next to him, like wherever he is. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
he
told
invites
us to come-
Billy Bob and everybody in. And Tonri sort of closes the door, like slides the door closed, and steps outside.
I pop in with Kenny and I say, I do not suppose one of your berries would help him right now. Would it?
What bear? Oh, my mushrooms?
Well, no, your good berries.
I don't have that spell prepared currently.
Well, then never mind.
I guess the mushrooms would also help.
Well,
I mean,
let's not
I
make
think
him
you're
start
okay,
tripping,
right,
Sack.
Mr. Henri?
I'll be all right. With time.
I mean,
Unless you
That
want
was
to
a-
start tripping, Sack.
that was a mighty feat of magic that you performed.
It
this
was.
afternoon.
I was very impressed. Also impressed with the nonchalance this village has with dragon interactions. And
The Dragonkin are friends of ours here in the Bonbon village.
I guess that's why this is
We've
called
dealt
the
with
Dragon Isle.
From time and time again. I've been an aid and a defender of these lands for a long time.
So, like, what? The dragon hunt the bigger lizards on the island, and
Yeah, and anybody trying to sort of obtain the secrets of this place, one can say.
like us.
Well, I thought as much might happen um,
Hmm.
upon helping Falyuan. And
It's
I'm glad
quite
you did-
strange that they're charged with guarding a place they can't enter.
I mean,
Well-
that's assuming they're staying in their dragon form all the time.
the
I suppose.
the Davari are something sort of sacred to all of us here in the Dragon Isles.
Hmm.
So
What do you
if
know of the Davari?
Not much. Probably less than you.
Hmm.
But we know that we defend this area and we protect that shrine. And that's sort of the Bonbin's duty, if you will.
Do you know anything of the evil that lurked in the bottom of the shrine?
The Mind Flayer or the giant amorphous blob that haunted us.
I don't, but I thank you for dealing with and returning some of my villagers to me.
It was our pleasure.
Here for a second. Let's just go to. Okay. Now, I know you will be on your way soon, and it might be some time before you return here. Before you arrived, I was meeting with Ringo, captain of your ship.
Mm-hmm.
Him and I have come to some terms, and strange that it is, I think I trust that man.
It is quite perplexing, isn't he?
You know, I've always liked pirates. I mean, I'm not saying that, I was biased because I picked the pirates, but, he does seem to be an upstanding pirate. You don't find them very often, do you?
This is true.
Well, somewhat upstanding.
I think the goblins.
Just enough.
Well, there are supplies that the Bonbin village needs that we can't quite acquire here on the island. And it seems that Ringo would be quite the ally in trying to acquire some of those things.
We're glad we could connect the two of you.
I completely agree.
I
But when you
have...
travel forth from this place, I've given you a way to return through Ringo. But should you part from him, you'll need a way to get back here.
Because this place is guarded by storms.
Yes. By myself, and dragons.
Right, yes. The dragons.
He reaches into a little pouch nearby, and hands you guys each. It's like a bracelet, and the bracelet's made of sinew with some little bones and stuff like that that are carved to look pretty nice on it.
Hmm.
If you wish to come back here, wear these. Travel by boat and head south. You'll find us.
Is there a way to draw a teleportation circle here that I can refer back to?
He smiles a little bit at that. I thought you might ask as much, Fizz.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, that would sort of break the purpose of us guarding this place.
Fair enough.
Well, I love this little charm. I assume that they're all bracelets made for human sizes.
They're
so-
like a stretchy material. Even though it's
Scrunchy.
sinew, it's it's like a little thing. So it fits you.
Okay. I'm
Kenny.
like, this is awesome. You made one my size.
Yeah. He sort of he takes a sip on his tea, as you guys get settled. He's like, now, before I bid you farewell, are there any questions you have of me?
What about the wells? Can we ask him about the wells?
We know about the
He-
wells.
He cocks a head. The wells?
Yeah, in the shrine there are like these wells.
I know
Yeah.
not of what lies in the shrine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, we
that's
have
good.
that book that describes what they're all about as well.
You guys have a few books about the Davari and about the shrine that you have not read.
Yeah, I would like to
You
read
just
through
haven't had
that
the time.
Davari encyclopedia. And we read the shrine guide.
Yeah, you
The
know
well
how to work
guide.
the shrine.
Yeah.
How long do you think it should take us to reach the Isles of Verdun?
From here. Be a boat.
Well, obviously.
Kenny, he looks at you and says, "Well, the skilled captain, like Ringo, a few days. Say 3. Maybe 4 if the winds are not with you. But
Oh, we're
3
that
if,
close.
3 if things, I think, are favorable."
Excellent. Well, to favorable winds then.
Yeah.
He smiles. There's like tea available for all of you guys as well.
I'll sip
Oh,
some
I'll sip
tea.
that tea. Hell yeah.
Does anybody else have questions? You guys can sort of sit and chat with Unri for a few if there's
Unri.
other questions that you have.
Your magics. I mean,
Yes.
I've never seen anything like it. And as I've told you, magics as these are not widely seen in the world these days anymore. It seems to be coming back, but how do you do it? How do you call upon such great power?
Well, Viz, I'm a spiritual shaman of sorts. He looks over at Kenny. Kenny and I share a very similar bond. In the way that we pull our magic from the land. This magic's in me, it's in you, it's in all things around. And I sort of bend that and shape that. It takes a great deal of energy from me. And I'm not really able to conjure or bring about things out of thin air. I require... He, sort of, looks around, this place to do anything.
Oh, really?
And you think he means, the island.
Yeah, his powers are tied to the island.
Yeah.
Or
Wow.
the dragons, perhaps.
Well, a little potato
perhaps.
potato. The island probably has
You think it
magic
could be,
because of the dragons.
And, Kenny, you feel like maybe the dragons have a similar type of magic as well. Where it's, it's tied to the landscape in some way. You know? Any other questions that...
The curse. The curses that we've been... Do you know...
He lifts an eyebrow. He's like, the curse?
Well, yeah, no, I already asked, and I guess there's nothing you can do about it. But, we got some
The
items.
unfortunate... yes, the unfortunate incident.
Yes.
The things you acquired.
Our
In
greed
play.
were our downfall, as it tends to be.
Well, yes, unfortunately, I'm not very good with curses. Not something one would say is in my wheelhouse.
Fair enough.
I'm sure you might be able to find someone, though. A skilled cleric or sorcerer such as yourself might know someone.
We'll keep looking, but you've been fantastically helpful to us, Unri, and we don't know how to thank you for everything you've done for us, for Fal, for, defending the island as long as you have.
Well, you can do one thing to repay me. Make sure the world doesn't get destroyed.
We're really trying.
He
Well,
doesn't smile at that.
That's a
working on it.
possibility.
Yes, no, but
That's one of those things that someone would say as a joke, yeah, don't forget to make sure the world doesn't blow up. He was dead serious.
He's like, no, make sure the world doesn't blow up.
Like you.
Us four, yes.
Yeah.
We
He
will.
looks at Billy Bob. He's 5.
5, yeah, Billy Bob.
He's the fifth Beatle.
He is. He's the George Martin of our little grand.
He goes to pour himself another cup. Well, looks like I've run out of tea.
Oh, well then, we shall be on our way, and we wish you the best, and thank you once more, but we will be heading back to the ship to continue making sure the world doesn't as previously stated, explode in any way, shape, or form.
And
I go and give him my cup of tea as I didn't drink it, and I tell him, Unri, no gratitude is enough for what you have done. It feels so familiar and strange at the same time, as if something feels flowing within my blood, as if renewed. If there is anything you would ask of me, do not hesitate to let me know. I promise I will not let you down, as it is all in good cause.
He like, you know, like clasps your hand and like, you know, nods to you. As you guys are headed out the door, you hear him like chime up from like behind you. It's like, there was one thing, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
The monastery hasn't seen a sizable donation in a long time.
What do you need money for? But yes, of course. What do you desire? A donation of?
I'm sure anything would be fine. I did not mean to impose. And he like, you know, he sort of, you know, backtracks a little bit.
Would coin or would
He's
you?
like, you'll find a donation box at the bottom of the stairs.
Oh right, of course.
So as you guys descend down the stairs, Tonri's standing at the bottom of the stairs, next to
shaking a little box.
next to a like 2 by 3 foot chest that's wide open and empty.
Wide open.
Is anything in it?
No.
Completely empty. So, how much gold do we have as a party? We have 5,000 GP in the bag of holding. How about like 100 gold? Throw it in the box.
Seems fair.
More? I mean, I don't want to seem stingy.
Yeah,
I
but we
will-
don't. Yeah, we don't want to tip their their entire fucking, you know, economic system into ruin because we gave them a bunch of fucking money. You know?
True. We'll give them $100 and we'll call it a day.
I was
2%?
thinking, do we have anything else like that we could give that wouldn't necessarily?
Well, we have that heavy crossbow of frost no one uses.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking that I will throw that in. I will throw my shield +1 in.
Yeah, instead of gold, let's throw in some
What kind of
worthwhile
+1 shield
items.
Is that? Is it wood? Or is
Kenny's like, whoa,
Wait, shields?
Don't be
Yeah,
giving
you
that
have-
away.
wait, you have a
Pull
+1
that
shield.
shit out of there.
Yeah,
Currently?
it's the one we found in the lab of the flare. It had my tribe's like symbols on it.
But it's a +1 what? Wooden shield or a steel shield?
Wooden,
It's not a heavy shield, is it?
not as far as I know.
Oh, I'll take a +1 shield. I don't have a
Okay.
+1 shield.
All right, so we'll put in.
Kenny's like, whoa. All right.
We'll put in the heavy crossbow of frost,
Uh-huh.
and we'll put in
I'll put in my shield.
Kenny's
Like,
old
my regular
shield. And let's see.
I suppose if we are counting, that shield is worth 200, or that crossbow is worth 250.
Well, then, I
There you
mean,
go.
that's a fair enough investment then. And, you know, I'm sure they'll be
Any,
able
like,
to use it
coats or
for
stuff
hunting.
well,
So you guys put a crossbow in the box?
Yes.
Um,
Well, I know, I mean, it's for the church, guys.
That's fine.
so-
That's fine. You know, you can put a crossbow in the box.
I'll throw in an extra 500.
No, 5,
All
you
right.
take that, 100 golds. Jesus Christ, Val.
The man saved my hand.
We are giving him
yeah,
a fucking...
I'm not gonna. Viz, it's his money. Let him do with it what he wants.
Jesus, we're gonna spoil him.
Billy
They're the
Bob puts
church.
50
Hopefully
coin
they'll
in.
use it for good things. You know?
Viz will put in 100 of his gold.
Yeah, Billy Bob takes 50 coin out of his purse and throws it in
And
the
actually,
box.
Viz keeps most of his coin in gems, so he'll put in 100 gold of gems in there. So
Ooh.
That is 98 worth of gems, and you know it.
Shh, Kenny, shut up. God, fucking.
Kenny will also throw.
Walden's actually 97.6.
As he's taking a ruby out.
Weighing it and like swapping it with a different one that he had. It's just larger. All right, so you guys leave some petty cash and a crossbow,
and a regular shield.
And a normal shield.
And a used shield.
I mean, they can clean it up a little bit.
Tonri thanks you guys a ton. He's like, thank you so much for your generosity. We haven't seen a donation in a considerable time.
When have you last seen a visitor? Right.
He's like, the Bonbin people have, we don't have much, so.
Right. Well, actually, I'm curious, Tonri, has anyone visited before us recently?
Not recently. Not in maybe 4 or 5 years.
Who was the last to visit?
About 5 years ago, there was a convening of Unri and a few of the other shamans from a few of the other islands, and a couple of the dragons. They convened on the mountaintops.
Did an elf named Barian ever come here?
Not to my knowledge.
That's good. That's very good. If anyone called the Frost Line, or anyone bearing a sigil of that, comes here, you make sure to kill them on sight.
When we get back to the out to the training yard, maybe you can draw that symbol for me.
I will, actually.
No,
Kenny.
And pull out like a extra cloak. That I have
yeah,
of
you guys
theirs,
probably have one. Yeah.
We had some disguises of theirs, yeah.
And toss it at him and be like, "Here it is."
If it looks
Memorize it.
anyone wearing that or have anything with that on it is an enemy. They are seeking the Davari devices for a lich called Barian, who is seeking to destroy the land, I assume, in some terrible fashion.
Well, if they ever try to find their way here, sure as hell know me and my scouts will take care of them.
That's what I like to hear.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
So
The
he
fact that
walks
we're
you
running
guys
from them doesn't-
sort of down the stairs and stuff like that, and sort of parts with you here at the gates to the monastery.
South or west?
At these gates, you guys would be heading south. He stops on like the northern side of the gates, and it's like, well, I guess it's farewell.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It'll be till next time.
Yeah, we hope we see you again, and when we do, it's under fantastic circumstances. Tonri, you've been nothing but a gentleman.
Well, I've arranged for 2 of my scouts to meet you at the southern gates. We'll guide you back to the safest way back to the boats.
Viz will do a hand, like a manly, hand grasp handshake out,
Forearm shake.
Yeah, he'll go out for one of those.
Watch it, you don't hurt yourself there, Viz.
Well, that's how they handshake, right? That's what they do.
No, I'm just meaning you said that you were doing it manly.
Well, yes, no, Viz will absolutely wince under Tonri's strength as he squeezes Viz's arm.
And your hand only goes like a third of the way around his arm. You're like, oh my god, his forearm's so huge.
He's so fucking jacked.
Tonri bids you guys a farewell, and sort of lets you take your leave there. You guys can still interact with the village before you leave if there's other things that you want to do.
Yes, we should go to whatever.
Me as Tonri, I'm going to turn and urinate real quick.
Oh.
Do you guys want to check the someplace to purchase things we might not be able to get while we're off of this ridiculous island?
Well, so I would like to give a little tip to that crazed amulet salesman, if he's still here. I did get an incredibly powerful amulet from him for a vial of squid ink, and I feel bad about that.
Well, do you really? Do you? Because you did it.
Yes, but now thinking back, if he had offered to trade it for a reasonable price, I would have. But he screamed something about all the gems in the world, so, Not much you can do
And
with
then
that.
you took something out that wasn't a gem, and he took it. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
That's that is technically.
That's a fair trade.
Yeah, believe me. That's his mistake.
All right, fair. Yeah, but he was crazy.
By and not bother him.
And if
I
he's
wish
crazy,
they
then
had.
So what? Do you know what happens when you tell crazy people you cheated them?
They tried to kill you, yes.
Yeah, let's skip that situation then.
Well, then I wish.
Any other votes on that situation?
No, I agree. I shan't approach him
There are enough things trying to kill us.
without a
We
crazed
need more.
amulet salesman. Yes.
Somebody in the village.
Does anyone remember if there's like a place of magical trinkets of some kind?
No.
No,
Probably
I think-
not.
I think you and Kenny were the only ones who did.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, never mind.
So, was there discussion? Is there anything you guys want to do in the Bondman village before you leave?
No,
I'd
not
like to go
really.
to their general store type of thing and purchase some stuff that I won't be able to get while I'm not on this island.
Yeah. There's the trading stalls that are like on your way out of the village.
Yes,
Um,
those. We'll get some. Like we're low on rations, so we should refill on those.
Yeah, and the other thing I was thinking is, you know, feathers or rocks or stones or stuff that, you know, might be cheap here, but nobody's seen them where we're from. We're going to a major trade island. Just saying.
We are? Well then, maybe we get some like bones. I know we have those trihorn. I mean, how much of the trihorn horns did we keep?
We have an entire fucking skull.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, we sure
So
do.
that will
Yeah, how much of
be.
stuff is in that bag of holding, by the way?
It's getting kind of packed.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Fal, you may have to take all of your equipment out of there.
Yeah. No. That's
If
fine.
we're gonna keep the skull in there at least.
Yeah. No. That's fine. Two things before we go. Joe, that shield has an emblem of my people on it, so that might be a significance. And
I mean, I am proud to carry your symbol. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're my brother, Fal.
Solidarity.
and then we also have braces of defense that I can offer if anyone wants that.
Can I? Oh no, I can't attune to anything else because I have these fucking cursed items. Well, it would be nice if I could have them eventually because my AC is shit. It's 14 with mage armor, so.
I shove the bracers into your hands. Like, take them. For the love of gods, take them.
Well, I can't attune to them yet, so.
But you can
When
carry
you can.
Yeah, Viz will put them in his packy.
All right. So, looking at the bag of holding here,
Everything that's on the dog is currently on the dog, so.
And where's the dog?
He's on the boat.
Oh, well, at least he's still around.
all right.
But
The interior
there's-
space being is 2 feet in diameter at the mouth and 4 feet deep.
So I don't know if that could fit a trihorn skull.
Looks like we might not be able to. We'll say that previously we were able to fit the skull, but you guys are going to need to do something about it.
Let's just saw all the horns
I'm gonna-
off.
Or we should offer it to the rancid as a, ship's mast.
Oh, as a figurehead or whatever.
Booyah!
Yeah,
It's not a bad idea.
that'd be
Seems
sweet.
like such a waste of such a precious ingredient.
I mean, he'd love us after that, right? I mean,
No, that's the greatest use of it, Fal. To use it as a trophy, a display, to display to the world what you've done and what you could do. What else could it be used
Oh, it's
for?
like healing someone with it?
Well, not everyone knows that
we
magic.
well, not only that, Fal, but we also have at least two other horns from the first one.
We took 2 horns off the first one, yes.
No, we took 3 horns off the first one and then 1 full head. I have 1 horn.
Well, didn't he
Fal
use
had-
one?
Fal had 1. It got used.
Yeah.
And there was 1 more.
Okay.
Horn, right?
Right.
So we have 2 horns and a full skull.
I looked to Walden as he was the one wanted skull.
I suppose I could part with it. It is my trophy, but let's give it to those guys.
Hey, Walden, how about this? I will make you a kick-ass something out of my horn.
All right, so you guys decided you're gonna give it to the rancid, right?
Yes,
If they
our skull.
Okay.
If they don't, then we'll just break the horns off and keep the horns.
So then you'll buy some rations and stuff. We don't have to necessarily role play that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else significant you guys wanted to do?
Do they have tobacco here?
They have like their own. They have their own like pipe weed.
I'll get a pound of bombin pipe weed.
Yeah. It's rather expensive here, but you know, compared to other places you've seen.
How much is it?
We'll say it's $10 for the pound.
Wow. Look at them fancy pants.
Right.
I pay it in
Or
gems.
10 coin, I should say, for the pound. All right. Anything else from anybody? You guys buy some rations and stuff if you want to take some coin off your character.
Yeah. How much?
Rations, it's $1 a ration.
Yeah, it's a coin per day.
Oh, okay.
I'll
I'll get
buy
like
like
6.
30.
Oh.
Yeah, and you can buy a bunch. Just remember they have weight and stuff like that. So if you're gonna
Well,
carry
we should just keep like 30 trail rations in the bag of holding. I will do
can do
that.
that.
I'm gonna buy 30 trail rations and put it in the bag of holding.
Sweet.
all right. So that anything else before you guys shove off?
Shove off as in shove off to the rancid or shove off
trek
the
down to the
island?
rancid.
I think I'm good. Everyone else?
I'm good.
All right. So you guys head to the southern gates where the two of the scouts, Tonri's scouts, are waiting for you guys. They have, they're each mounted on an Allosaurus, and then there are 3 Allosauruses that are unmounted, sort of waiting tied up with them.
Ooh.
They're like, hey gents, I thought you guys wouldn't mind doubling up on a few of these.
Who is good at riding? Because Fizz is not. I will get on with Kenny.
All right. And Falyuan, I assume you hop on one. Walden, do you want to ride? All right, and Billy Bob will hop on one by himself.
Mhm.
The scouts sort of look at you guys and they're like, "Well, should take us probably hour and a half, maybe 2 hours or so to get there at most. You guys ready to go?"
Aye, aye.
All right. It is. Let's see. Time of day. It is. I can't remember. I think it's probably getting towards the afternoon.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
getting towards late in the day.
Right.
And you guys will probably arrive at the shore by before dark, definitely. So there'll still be light in the sky. So you guys begin to take off and are going to race through the jungle a little bit. It's kind of a nice day. You know, it's one of those things that it's nice to be back, you know, sort of in a safe way to move around the jungle. Not have to be on foot, not have to be trekking and breaking trail and stuff like that. So you guys are headed down like a well-beaten path, just sort of rumbling through the jungle with one of the scouts in front of you and one of the scouts in the back of the group. So I don't think that... does anybody want to do anything fancy?
What do you mean by that?
Ooh, fancy.
Does anybody want to do anything fancy?
Like kickflip trips with.
I mean, whatever. It's entirely.
While we are with guides, Viz would like to take...
I'm just gonna say, before you guys decide to do anything fancy, I'm only asking because if nobody wants to do anything fancy, then we'll just get on with it. We'll do some fancy things.
I would like to just throw it in as a thing that's said is done. But while we're traveling, Viz would like to take the opportunity to just get... He'll write down notes of just like basic information about the flora and fauna of the island from the guides. You know, we'll just talk as we walk, just so we have that information. Should we ever need to refer back to it?
All right. Fal, Walden, Kenny.
Nothing fancy here.
Nothing fancy, Fal.
No, I think if we stayed in the village more, something fancy. But
Kenny, anything fancy?
Kenny's
like
ready
a
to get back to his dog
All
on
right.
on the ship.
So you guys make your way back. Viz gaining a little bit of knowledge from these guys just about like what other kinds of plants and stuff like that grow here.
Yeah.
And making your way back, Josh Brolin and the crew have just finished lowering some stuff down to the boats and stuff, and are packing everything up. And he's got maybe 3 or 4 crew members around as he sees you guys tromping up on the Allosauruses. It's like, oh, look who fucking comes back! Hey.
Howdy, Captain.
Josh, he like tips his hat and he's like, maybe someday. Someday soon.
No murdering, Josh. We talked about this.
He like takes holds the reins while you guys like
Get off
and stuff. He's like, well, you boys find what you were looking for?
We
Whatever the
did,
fuck it was?
and then some.
yes,
You'll never believe it. We
Look, I hold up Faluan's hand. Look, he's got all his fingers.
he's got his fingies back.
Yeah.
Oh, and
you didn't have those before?
he was missing them, and we have something else. Something we wanted you guys to consider as potentially a figurehead for your ship.
Wait. Shh, we're gonna tell Ringo first.
Oh, I'm excited. Well, all right, we won't show you yet. Well, it'll be a big reveal, but we're very excited. I am, anyway.
Well, I guess congratulations on the fingers.
It was magic, quite literally.
thank you.
That's. I really don't know what to do with that.
Nobody really does.
Okay.
So it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you've done enough. The congrats is really all
Look
that's
up a
needed.
dumbwaiter, so you can just sort of ride down.
All right, tight.
That makes things a little easier.
Hmm.
Walden, good to see you back in one piece.
Hey man, it's always good to be back. Where's the rum at?
He'll pull like the little bottle that's like hanging off his waist. He's like, oh, he's at the ready.
I'll take a
Give you a
big swig.
He will do the same afterwards. Just be like, yeah, fuck yeah, welcome back.
While they go down the ship, I'll shoot the shit with Josh Brolin. Just be like, hey
Yeah.
man, what's the news? What happened to the ship? Just try to if anything of note happened, maybe learn about it.
So Josh sort of fills you in on the fact that like they've established some pretty good trade with the Bonbin, and that they sold them some firearms and stuff, and they got a bunch of rations and water and other things. And they've actually found that there's some things that they're gonna buy for them on in Verdun and bring back. That should be
Nice.
pretty helpful. And it seems like to you, it seems like there's like some good deals going on, and Josh Brolin also gives you the wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like, these guys are also like third world villagers, so whatever, any deal that we tell them sounds good.
Right.
Right.
They seem very
Sure.
excited about the
Yeah.
trade opportunities.
Said otherwise, Ringo's been getting a little antsy because you guys have been gone for a few days, but other than that, things have been sort of on par. Everyone was a little freaked out when they saw a dragon, like maybe about a couple hours ago.
We
But-
Yeah, man.
spoke to him.
You're not the only ones.
But other than that,
Crazy.
Josh Brolin seems to be in good spirits. If anything, half in the bag. So
Awesome.
he has the boys sort of like operate the lifts and stuff, and gets you guys down to the what would you call them, like long boats. That'll take you back out to the Rancid that is anchored just offshore. So you guys sort of shoot the shit with the crew, make your way back, and eventually are hauled up back onto the deck of the Rancid. So,
Yeah.
It's good to be back.
back onto the deck of the Rancid.
Wow.
It's been a while.
with the
Yeah, the
crew.
Rancid is like
And with
fully
Ringo.
fucking stocked, man. This is a
Yeah, the
sweet
Rancid
looking
is stocked up.
Rancid.
I mean, all the J's are here. You know, Jake, Jeeves, Jackson, Jonah, Joseph, Jean-Luc, Juice, John, Jacob, Jameson, James, Jimmy. Of course, Josh Brolin, Jacoby, Jay, Job, Jimbo, Jack.
What about
They're all here.
Pagano?
He's here. Pagano's here.
Why does he
I just-
not have a J name?
His real name's
Josh.
Josh, but there's too many Joshes, so they just
No,
call
but
him.
but yeah. I mean, obviously, if there's a random Pagano, he's got to be Josh, right?
Exactly. But there were too many. There was already Josh Brolin, and there were too many Joshes, so they were like, "All right, well, you're just going to be called Pagano."
Kenny will start casting ritually water breathing on all the guys like he had been doing once he gets on the boat.
All right. Yeah, I think you had done that before with them, right?
Yep. It
Okay,
was
so
something
they're not
to,
freaked
as
out.
like an
They're like,
insurance
"Okay."
policy
Yeah.
in case we got sank by the Elvis ships.
And Ringo sort of like saunters down to you guys.
Howdy,
well,
Captain.
Howdy, Ringo.
Took some time, eh?
Well,
business.
you know, we wanted to make sure we were thorough.
It's all right. It's all right. Made some good deals myself.
We
So,
heard.
Anchor's up tonight, yeah?
Yeah, we, now, Kenny, now can we reveal our little surprise?
Yes, we can now. This is the captain. He's the one who.
Ringo, during our hunts, during our travels, we came upon a great creature called a trihorn. It's massive, with great powerful legs and a massive skull with 3 huge horns. Yes, and big, sharp, biting teeth. And we thought the skull might be a good figurehead for the Rancid, and I'll let whoever has the bag of holding pull the skull out.
I whip it on the ground. I open it up.
It like dumps out as it's like massive, you know, you like pull it out. He's like, oh, it's bigger on the inside. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that's
don't
pretty
shake your
fucking
head.
cool.
Right?
All right. Yeah, all right. You got it. You got it. All right. Joseph, Jake, Jeeves, Jean-Luc, put that shit in the hold. When we get to port, we'll have somebody do something about that. Not much we can do while we're on the water, but it's pretty tight, guys. I gotta say. You know, we were able to make the deals like you did with Josh Brolin, so now, you know, it seems like we've got all the water we need. We got plenty of whatever that weird juice they were drinking. And looks like we're kind of set and ready to go for a couple weeks. I really appreciate this. Now, you guys took off into the woods for a few days.
Mm.
I gotta ask, what's going on?
We are on a mission, as it were. We told you about all of that, right?
Kind of. I mean, I know that I'm providing you guys passage from one place to the next, but, you know, I don't know if you're going where I'm going, but I'm heading for the Isles of Verdun. I'm sailing to Verdun, boys.
That's where we're headed as well, which is why we thought we'd catch a ride.
That was the original.
For one last time. We don't know where you're going after the Isles of Verdun. I mean, it'd be great to stay with you, but we understand you may have to go and do your own thing, so...
Well, we've locked into some deals right now with Unri.
Hmm.
You see, we're sailing straight for Verdunia. We might make port ahead of time. I don't know. Looking at the maps and stuff and the charts I was before, from where we are, you know, I might make port in Barbuk, and then Roking, and then make my way up to Verdunia from there, depending on which way kind of trade-wise I want to go.
Hmm.
But where are you boys headed?
I'm not quite Val, you kind of have a Virginia destination in mind.
We, or I, hoping we could go to Cozy. Then I'm from there to the Nathenga village, where my family are.
All right, join me below deck, boys. We'll head into my quarters. Let's look over some maps.
Oh,
I do love a good map.
He brings you guys down inside and, like, you know, basically barks at the crew to start setting everything in order. And they start moving about. It seems like they're just like getting everything set so that you guys can haul anchor and set sail. He brings you to his desk, clears off a whole bunch of, you know, empty wine bottles and all sorts of bullshit and stuff like that. And he clears off this chart, and it's a big map of the Isles of Verdun.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fuck yes.
So the map of the Isles of Verdun.
By the way, for the nobody who's watching, our very own DM, Timmy Tom, the Tom GM, makes these maps
to my
himself. And
Um,
he's super good at them, so tell him such.
So basically, what Ringo sort of informs you, he's like, "We're to the south right now. We're south of these islands, just by a little bit, and we should be within sight. You know, if we sail north through the Draconic Ocean, we should make our way into the aerial coast within 3-4 days." Now, boy, you said you wanted to go to Ukozi?
Yes, sir.
I wasn't really planning on stopping on the southern islands.
Well, if we're going to hit the aerial coast, you could drop us off in Tupi, and we could make our way up the road to Ukozi. That way you wouldn't have to go into the bay. Gives you a port to stay at, some trade. Puts us on the island. You know, we'll have to do a bit of travel, but, you know, you've helped us enough as it is. We don't want to inconvenience you further.
I have family in Ukozi. It might be to your benefit to stop there. Establish trade.
There's also a river.
Family, you said.
You could take the
Yes.
river up through the island, and there you're already in the Sea of Thieves.
It is why I embarked on this journey.
What kind of trade are you talking about?
Well, coffee? Do you like coffee?
Coffee's worth a good deal.
Yes. My family has been known to partake in it. Growing and trade. There might be something there that we can establish.
All right. I mean, not a huge timeline on me coming back to and back from Virginia. And truth be told, I've never been to a cozy.
Truth be told, neither have I.
So if there's trade there,
Yes.
hell, I might be able to find what I need there.
I think so. And, you know, this would establish you as more of, they call, an entrepreneur more than a pirate. Gives you a little more status, so to speak.
So is that where you all have business? In
It is where
Ukozi?
I have business. But I look at the others and I say, we are going where I don't think very many of us have gone before. It would be wise for us to gain as much information as we can from my family.
I mean, I've got southwest near to Virginia, slightly south, over 50 or 60 years. The thing we're looking for has developed technology around it. Palm Island, possibly the Kantaku tribe.
Mm-hmm. That is where Cal said we should be going. But we know nothing of the Kantaku. So,
Or Palm Island. I don't see a Palm Island.
Hmm.
it may have been renamed.
True, but he said it's south of Virginia. Could it be where the Herb Valley is, perhaps? Or
Well, you do see that there is an island that's called Kantaku. It's like a nation.
East
But
of.
you don't see any of the names of these islands specifically. Just the names of the nations.
Humboldt, Eucalyptia.
What say you, Captain?
Well, it's going to take me a couple days out of my route. You boys are pretty good at that.
Yes, we are.
Taking me a couple days outside my route.
Sorry, man.
But
Or speeding it up a couple of days in the case of how we got down here.
that's true.
I would like to think it was in your best interest. As a good trader as you are.
All right, make me a persuasion check, value.
I'd like to believe it was fate that found me headed to the pirate den that day.
We have benefited each other equally as much.
12's not bad. All right. He's on the fence, but he's like, yeah, I like you guys.
Besides, quite literally, when have we yet steered you wrong? Every excursion we've gone on has ended up with you getting some sort of good trade
It's
or
true.
something.
Might have been shot in the cheek, but
But
not
you
anymore.
also got a
It's a
giant
good deal if you haven't been
squid.
shot in the cheek, man. Come on.
Remember that
Oh,
time
That
we helped
scar-
defend
that
against the
scar
squid?
does look really badass.
I mean, it does look quite badass.
It does give us
Feel that.
hell.
We set sail for Ukozi.
I'm gonna raise a glass that I had been pouring, and I'm gonna pass him one, and be
This'll
"To a
start
cozy."
packing a bowl.
All right. So you guys cheers with Ringo.
To a cozy.
He tells you it'll be 5 days to Ukozi. If we remember, today is the 5th? Is that right?
I believe it's the 8th.
Oh, maybe it is the 8th. So I'm just trying to find my calendar.
I think it was the 8th. Because it's been less than a week since.
Hold on. Got my calendar.
No, we're past the 10th.
Today, it's currently the 12th.
Damn, dude, I've lost 4 days.
So you guys, it's currently the 12th. You guys would be there on the 17th.
Assuming everything goes well.
Yes, assuming everything goes well.
Or sooner, assuming everything goes really well.
Yeah.
Or catastrophically wrong and then very well.
I mean,
As is our way of doing things.
So,
your way of doing.
Well,
what do you
it
guys
seems to
want
be
to
the party.
do? Is there? So I should ask you then. You guys have 5 days on the ship. What kind of things do you guys want to accomplish during that time?
I want to read the book that I was given that I plundered. I also got
Which
a
book did
spell
you have?
book. Didn't I?
I think so.
What was the
We're
last
gonna put on
one
some
we-
different music.
I'm gonna read those books. Rites and Rituals of the Davari.
Yeah, I would like to read that Encyclopedia of the Davari.
But we'll read them separately without comparing notes.
Exactly.
All right, so we have one that's the history of the Davari and one that's rites and rituals of the Davari, right?
Yeah, I have rites and rituals.
And
Okay.
Kenny has the history, but are you reading it, Kenny? Because if not, I'm very interested.
I will let you. I'll let you read it, but I'd like it back for my own.
Of course.
Perusing. While you guys are reading, what are you gonna do, Fal?
I am going to review as many notes as possible from my dad's journal about what we're going to encounter. Just reviewing, reminiscing, and really meditating on.
Fal takes many
Kenny?
breaks to look out of the porthole dramatically as music plays in the background.
Kenny's gonna take like at least a solid day, assuming the quartermaster position, if everybody's okay with it, and
Yeah.
just going through everything that's on the dog, everything that's in the bag of holding, trying to consolidate and do like do we need this thing, and try to put our best stuff forward if we can.
Hey, find all your shit, everything like that.
Yeah, get it all consolidated, and if we can't get rid of it, effectively, maybe sell it to the pirates.
All right.
True.
The guys around us might want to buy some stuff that we have on us.
Do
if
some
we've got an
light
extra
ship
shotgun,
trade.
or yeah. But Kenny, I'm gonna do that out of game time, so as not to take up time now doing it.
That's fine.
But that's like one of the things he does on this journey. He's gonna consolidate everything. If anybody's got anything they want on their characters, put into, a central pool, just put a asterisk next to it in your character sheet, and I'll go through sometime this week and pull stuff down and go through.
Oh, are
all
we
the stuff
supposed
on
to
the
be
dog.
using our character sheets for...
Oh yeah.
Dude, I have been.
course.
Everything that I'm carrying is in my equipment.
Oh, no, the ones on D&D Beyond, not the ones in Roll20. Yes.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Everything I have is, I've been using D&D Beyond.
So if even if it's typed in and it's not a made item and it's just something I bought, I've written it there. So if there's anything you want to get rid of, just put an asterisk next to it in your D&D Beyond stuff, and I'll quartermaster everybody this week.
All right.
All right. So for day one, Viz, can you roll me a d20?
All right. Nat 20. All right.
All right. Day one is beautiful sailing weather.
Smooth sailing from here on out.
Bluebird skies. You guys are making good time. It's very peaceful. It's one of those things where it's you guys are so happy to be almost away from danger. Being out on the sea gives you this sense of you're on your own. You're like an island. You're sort of. We've been on the Rancid now numerous days. In general, and you feel like you kind of like this place. The guys here aren't too bad, and got some decent meals and stuff like that. And on the first day, you guys are able to reflect on basically everything we read in the intro today. So it sort of amounts to the last about 2 weeks or so.
God, that's only been
Since
2
Harvest
weeks.
Festival. Since Harvest Festival.
That's insane. Wow.
You guys have been traveling together as a group, minus Viz, but traveling together for about 2 months.
Viz
you've
joined
been
about
traveling
halfway.
About a month or so with the group. So you guys take time to reflect on all of this.
Is it happening?
And become level 6.
Oh my god.
Oh, milestones. I literally my heart is beating faster now. I literally I'm actually getting physical excitement from hearing that. That's so strange. That's fun.
So during your sea journey, you guys will be able to level up.
Tweet. Yeah, no, Viz, while we're reading books, from if he hears people talking about something, he'll try to pipe in with a fact of like, oh yes, and remember when, the blank, remember with the pants and naked in the woods with the spear?
Now, while you guys are spending your time doing various different things, Ben, can you roll me a d20 for day 2?
Yeah.
Day tuna. Oh
Three
no.
with 3.
Not so good. We're sad
you
now.
guys are in contemplation, and day 3 brings along a series of flat winds. The ship moves, but slowly. No big swells, no terrible things or anything like that. But you guys are finally able to glean some knowledge from some of the things that you've... there's 8 gained hit points for Kenny. That's pretty sweet.
Woo! Puts me up to 50 HP.
Damn. So during this ride, Viz, you read the history of the Davari, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Which, upon completing, I will put back into Kenny's bag.
So reading the history of the Davari, you feel that there's some things that you want to inform everybody else about a little bit.
Okay.
You sort of learn that the history of the Davari, they're like these... You surmise that they're these objects, I'm going to sort of tell you guys this while you make your character, you level up and stuff.
Yeah, is it cool if we start doing that?
Yeah, you guys can do that, definitely. So you sort of surmise that these Davari are legendary objects. But at the same time, through the story that you've read, you realize that they're actually all sort of like aspects of this one person's soul that have been split into 5 pieces. And so this person, he's called Davarine.
Davarine.
And from what you gather is that Davarine is sort of like the Dread Pirate Roberts. He's a man always born with amazing talents. He's like all of the great heroes of old, not just one of them. He's the same soul reborn each time. So the more you read of familiar heroes.
He's like Link.
Yeah, sort of in a way. You read of Kafiri Cortel, slayer of the dragon Zortili, leader of great armies of Estark. You read of Daniel Smithick, who is like an amazing trader in the Isles of Verdun. You read of Faust Vorden, the elf who sort of grew up in the underbelly of society and was noted as being the greatest thief and assassin the world has ever seen. And you read of all of these different, maybe about a dozen or so different names that he was known by. And how that each time he would die, Davarine would sort of return to where the gods dwelled. And the gods would try to win his favor, because he sort of had agency in the mortal world. And each time they would petition him with trinkets or baubles or powers or things that they could offer him when he was immortal. And each time he would, sort of accomplish the tasks that these deities were setting out for him, and would be, sort of killed and reborn in this process. And this happened for thousands of years. Until eventually he was sort of petitioned a little bit too far. When the gods started to vie against each other and sort of push him to a place where they were trying to take each other Um, and Davarine would have none of that. He'd gotten all these gifts, and he had been offered immortality. And he realized that that would be the one thing that would sort of break him of who he really is that if he couldn't return to the mortal world and die each time, he wouldn't truly understand what it is to be alive.
Hmm.
And he decided to punish the gods instead. So, realizing that they weren't basically... what's the word I'm looking for? They weren't valid or even deserving of his influence anymore. And so he decided that he was going to take their precious Mithril, the world that they like to act on so much, and he was going to shatter it. And so using all the power that he had in himself, and he broke his soul into these 5 aspects, and essentially threw the world into chaos. Rivers flooded, storms raged for days on end, millions of people died. And the world was reborn over the course of several hundred years. Societies began to eventually eke themselves out. The gods slowly returned to the lands. And the 5 aspects of his soul were sort of scattered to the winds, with the thought that eventually they would work themselves together as these powerful objects. And when society had hit its breaking point of someone trying to vie for too much power, these 5 objects would find themselves back together, and the world again would be split asunder. It's unclear whether the power to do that or the choice to do that is in the power of the beholder of these 5 items. But it is very apparent that they hold a lot of power, each of them, in themselves. And you sort of are gaining, or you sort of realize, Viz, that these are the things that you're searching for. These are these objects. They're basically like fragments of this god or this demigod's soul that are both object and living thing at the same time. And basically you sort of understand that it's, whoever is going to control these 5 things is going to have the power and the ability to either shape what happens on this world and either destroy it or change it or something along those lines.
Right.
That is a little bit unclear.
Is there anywhere in there about destroying the objects?
No. And so one of the things that Walden, you're reading the rites and the rituals, right? Which is the other book. And I'm not sure if Walden shares... Walden, do you share what you read in your book?
Well, I guess that depends on what I'm reading.
Because I imagine Viz, because Walden sort of has a thing at the moment that he's not being very sharing.
Yes, he's
and
been
Viz, I imagine
afflicted.
that you're sharing with the party.
Yes, I'm reading interesting tidbits like, it's actually he's been around forever. It says something about fractured. He really had a thing against the gods, guys.
As
Walden's
Kenny's,
just
jumping in and out of the the bag of holding, pulling stuff out. Like, oh really?
I'm basically
trying
sitting
to
next
read.
to you as you're organizing shit.
So Nate, I'll tell you what the kind of stuff that you read. I'll tell you in front of the party, and you can determine whether or not you actually tell the party about that.
Sure.
So the things that you read about they sort of make more sense once Viz describes what who or what Davarine is and what these Davari are. And these rituals and these, it says the rites and rituals, and it seems like there's a few like rites of passage that will sort of make these items more usable.
Okay.
Because in their own form, they're sort of like with this raw magical power. And you read about that there's certain places of power that you can bring these objects. and it makes them, they're almost like amplified there.
Okay.
And you find that, definitely one of them is Ilrasil Lunari, where Cal is right now. And the other is that there's its sister observatory, Ilrasil Solari, which is on the other side of Cal.
Right.
Additionally, the rituals that you read about are ones needed to control the powers of these 5 things once they come together. And it seems like without having this book around, it would be like just controlling the wild elements and trying to figure that out on your own. And instead, this is sort of like a guideline on how you might actually go about trying to, they're like spells to be used to help harness the power.
Oh, I see.
So it seems like the kind of book that like a powerful wizard who had access to multiple of those items and had the spells that you have in that book would be able to do amazing, destructive, powerful things and amazing life-saving type of things as well.
Nice.
So,
Well, I'm a novice wizardish type of thing. So I'll keep the book, and I'm gonna if there's any spell, if I can glean any magical information out of it, I'll try to.
You don't share with your buddy
did you tell the
Viziviz?
party about anything?
No, I mean, no. I just read it, and then I get bored and wander around the ship.
Viz will ask you when he's done, and after he returns it to Kenny, his book, he'll be like, "Oh, so what did the ritual book say?" As he was telling everybody what the history book was saying.
I don't know, man. Bunch of weird stuff. I'm still reading it. I'll let you know when I'm done.
Oh, okay. Is it interesting? Like anything, like actually useful?
Honestly, I can't determine that yet, but I think maybe once I'm done reading it, and I just want to try some things in this book. I'll let you know.
Tommy, as I level up to level 6, Viz learns remove curse.
Oh, there you go.
And major image, but that's not pertinent to removing the curses on the items.
Yeah, remove curse is helpful.
So he will spend time to remove curse. I need. It's
you wanna
just
go ahead
vocal and
and
semantic.
read the end of that spell.
But the spell breaks its owner's attunement to the object, so it can be removed or discarded. So yeah, you just have to reattune.
Right, but
If the object is a cursed magic item, its curse remains, but the spell... Okay, so it's just... If it's an actual cursed item, which it is, it doesn't get rid of the curse. It just gets rid of its hold on us. Which, I mean, honestly, at this point, would be...
it just means
worth it
that
for
like,
Viz.
so the idea is that you now know that you can remove the curse. You can break the curse's hold on, because you and 2 of your party members are cursed by items.
Right.
You can remove that curse and be able to like put the item down, essentially.
Yes.
But it doesn't remove the curse from the item
But that is something that could eventually
with
be
a
done.
wish spell,
Right. So...
which is like
a level 9 cleric spell.
like the most amazing spell ever.
Wait, is that literally the only way to remove a curse from an item?
That's what I found, is that's the only way to remove a curse from a cursed item. Remove
Wow.
the curse from a cursed item, from it being a giving of a curse.
I can always smack it with my stick.
Well, that just removes all the magic
That removes
altogether,
everything.
and they become mundane items. So,
I mean,
And it
that
might
would be
still
a
be
mighty
cursed.
but so I will offer that to the party. Viz will get rid of his cursed items, knowing that
Both of them?
yes, as great as they are, he does not want the bad things that come with them.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is there are good items that come with a cost.
Right. But I mean, we have them in our bags should we want to like pay that cost again someday to be like, fuck it, I need that ring again, and like, ring of teleportation quickly.
Yeah, or if you want a douchebag, sell them to some guy.
Or sell them to a douchebag. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, like, you can...
Well, they are powerful though, so we don't want to actually give them to someone who could use them. I don't know. Maybe hitting them with the stick might be the best option. But I mean, I would like to hang on. Viz would like to hang on to the ring of teleportation, or sorry, the ring of whatever telekinesis.
Telekinesis.
Yeah.
You could also just throw. I could hit it with the stick, and we could throw it over the board.
That ring of telekinesis is fantastic.
It really is. He would like to hang on to it.
Also, I think what's great is...
Are you going to remove curses? Are you doing that?
Yeah, are you going to do that?
Do I have time to do that while also having read the book while we're on the boat?
How long does it take to do the remove curse?
It's like a 10-minute thing, I think.
Yeah, you've got plenty of time.
Hey, 10 minutes.
Even
We'll
if it's
remove the
an
curse.
hour,
Come
you
on
got
in.
plenty of time.
Right.
Come to Viz's remove curse and pour.
Exactly. Buy one, remove curse, get one free.
Hold on, we're not done down the line. So then, Fal Yuen, you spend some time reading over your journals and stuff.
Yeah.
And we're each gaining things. So I think I discussed this with you personally, but I think it's one of the things that would be wise to discuss with the whole party. Is that like you learn more about the tribal structure on the 3 islands to the south. So on Ueshe, Kantaku, and Po, you sort of learn the structure of those islands. And basically, like, Virginia, he sort of, like, informs you guys that, like, Virginia sort of, like, it's like a history lesson. Virginia functions as, like, a city-state, basically. And there's basically 5 island nations that function as one nation of the Isles of Verdun. So when they're dealing globally, like with Kel, Benton, Estark, or Lithania, they function as their own set of islands. And they have one currency that unites them, and they sort of function as a republic. So there's a representative from each of the islands that sort of serve on a general council in the capital city of Verdunia, and there they sort of discuss all the laws, taxes, other things like that that are going to be levied in all of the different nations. And then there's governors and representatives in each one of those nations in their capital cities. And so you've got capital cities of Verdunia, Foon, Rubia, Ukozi, and Liberica in all of those different nations. And so basically the 3 islands to the south have sort of formed a union over the past numerous years. And sort of live in relative peace. And previously, before your father left, there's always been some tension between the Kantaku and the Po and Ueshe people. It's been one of those things. There's, people like each other and stuff enough, but the Po and Ueshe seem to get along a lot more than the Kantaku people. And you guys know that they are the ones who are in possession of this Divari that you guys are looking for. You're just not sure where it is. Just know it's probably somewhere on that island or in those people's possession. And you sort of think that Fal Yuen, one of the best things to do would be to try to gain some intel. Maybe politically or maybe something along those lines to try to figure out what's going on in these nations and where you might be able to find this source of power that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Kenny, you are going through all of the materials and stuff like that, right?
Yep. Actually editing the stash bag currently. Walden, do you have this thing that says it's a double-barreled shotgun with 1 shot carried by Walden, and then 3 extra shots carried by Walden? Is that on your person, Walden?
I don't believe I have a shotgun.
Well, according to
I
the
don't see
stash
it.
bag, it says you have a double-barreled shotgun.
Okay, I
Or
must have just
it's-
tossed it.
Or
Yeah.
it's currently with the dog and it's yours.
Walden, can you roll me a d20 for day 3?
Yeah.
Also, if you need a shotgun, I also have a shotgun on me that I'm not using. so it's just a backup.
16.
16. All right. Day 3 brings fair weather and good skies. And you guys, the only exciting things happening on this day are some spotting of some wildlife, a couple pods of dolphins, and a group of whales that you guys see.
Ooh, on that chance, Kenny's gonna spot them, and if I can turn into them,
Oh, yeah.
level equivalently.
Bottlenose dolphins, definitely.
I think a
check
killer
out-
whale is level 2.
These are blue
CR
whales,
as
not
well.
killer whales, buddy.
Blue? Oh,
Yeah,
blue.
huge.
Oh,
Massive creatures.
don't think I can turn into one of them yet.
Okay, but you have
But-
seen it.
I will
Also,
turn into like a dolphin and ride with a pod, for a while, just to check them out.
one of the wonderful things that will also happen is that Billy Bob's gonna level up.
Yay!
Billy Bob's gonna go to level 3.
That's fucking
He's gonna do
awesome.
some praying with his god. So does someone want to go through and level him up? Does anybody have his character sheet open?
I don't
I
currently,
have
but
my-
I
I have
can
an extra.
soon.
I have it
Extra.
open. If you guys want me to send it to you.
I can open it quickly. Tommy, just checking. Sycamore, my friend, he went to Theldar, right? The city of Theldar.
Let me think.
Because
Was he the other guy with us? I thought he went to the Arch.
No, he was the guy. That was Jake. He's in the Archers. But no,
Hold on, I
Sycamore
have it
was my
written
friend
down.
who lived in Corvée, who ran away from Corvée to survive.
I have it written down. I just want to make sure. I know he went east.
Yeah, I just don't know if he went all the way to Theldar.
I don't think I have editing functions for Billy Bob, by the way.
Oh, you don't?
I don't think so.
Do only I have functions for him?
I mean, I can view everybody else, but I can't edit.
Oh, okay. Then I'll just level him up real quick.
Oh, did we remove Curse that night, or
Yeah. So who's gonna do that?
I would love to do that.
I will remove your curse, Val.
I-
Walden?
Yeah, definitely. But while I'm still evil, I would like to play,
Yeah.
cheat at some cards with some of these sailors.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to steal some shit from them. Get some
So
coin,
basically,
baby.
the funny thing is, it's the first night because we
Second
don't
night. It's
get
the
to
second
re-
night.
Well, no, because we don't get to rest until the first.
John, he's moving to
after the first
Easton.
night of sailing.
Okay, sorry, Joey, one sec. I put in and there's a blank, so just put Easton. I guess I'll retype that message I sent you.
Oh no, I see what you mean.
Okay, cool.
When we rest the first night after sailing, we all level up, right? So the first night before we go to bed, Walden is still evil, and you don't have the
Oh
ability
yeah,
to cast
yeah,
the
exactly, yeah.
spell. So,
I see what you're saying. It works.
trying
He's
to
gonna
make
he's
Wall-
gonna message back to you, 20 words. Viz
Yeah.
in his sending.
I'll sit at a table and lose a little bit of money to Walden with some sailors.
Yeah, Walden, why don't you roll me a percentile die, to see how you do over the course of the evening? I think. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
So-
85%. That's a B.
Ooh,
That's a
I think
solid
that's pretty
B.
good. I was gonna say you have a 25% chance of winning, so yeah.
Nice.
Let's see how well you do for the evening. Why
That's
don't
a
you?
B.
Let's see.
I like how excited you are about that. I
Why
am
don't you
too.
roll me 3d4?
Ooh.
3, 4.
Oh, I want to use this opportunity to show off my fun new D20.
All right, you're up
Alright.
5 gold,
Okay.
5 coin. So do you want to try to cheat people or something? What's your
Yes.
goal here?
Yes, I would.
All right. How are you looking to? Are you looking to just
Oh, I have an idea. So
Yeah.
nobody knows what steal the rib is yet, right?
No, this I don't think that. Have you guys taught the sailors? I don't
We
think so.
did. We did one of the trips.
Oh, we
believe-
did?
Yeah. I think like one of the first nights we were like, "Oh, steal the rib. What's our favorite game?"
Well, I'd like to teach a new version of it, quote unquote, with where the rules are just totally only I can win. It's just like they don't. I'm not telling them everything, and it's like I just keep winning.
You're like hustling them essentially.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, damn, maybe next time. Damn, man.
You're like, "Oh yeah, see this when you do with this, then this happens, so it didn't work
All
this
right, then
round.
why don't you
Bad
make
luck."
me can you make
Kenny will
me a
not be-
deception check
Yeah.
to see how well you trick these guys?
They
Or
are
if you-
pirates after all.
So you're winning. You've got the good luck on your side. You're gonna win. So let's see, a 17. All right, I'd say that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So how much are you gonna try to take them for?
I want like maybe 20 gold, and I want somebody to give up an item, like a personal item.
Like
Oh,
a
you're
fake
gonna try to, like,
hand.
wager
Like if
for
they
a
have like a
personal
claw
item?
hand. Say you want to win someone's claw.
Yeah, or just any like sort of like a childhood harmonica or whatever the fuck they've got.
Okay, some sort of like random like personal
Yeah,
effect.
right.
All right. Do you guys have the rules for Still the Rib?
They don't really exist.
Yeah, it's something
It's like
like 3d6, and if you roll 2d6, it's a half
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 shrimp.
shramp.
They have to
And-
whisper half shrimpy.
And if you roll 2 6s, and if you roll all 3 6s, that's a full shrampy, and that's when you can steal the rib, and you roll a opposing dexterity checks to steal the rib.
All right. So the question then is Walden, are you doing this secretively, or are you letting, or is this in front of your teammates at all?
I didn't think any. Well, Joe said he sat down, or Kenny said he sat down
Mhm.
with me, but I was
won't
just
be
gonna go.
participating in any hustling of the shrimp.
Well, if you're sitting down to play, you're getting hustled, my friend. I'm sorry. I was just gonna find like
Do you let
It's
us in
definitely a
that you're
place-
doing this, or
it's definitely a place Viz wouldn't hang out because he's very prim and proper. It's like I was gonna go to the hold where all the
right?
shitty gods are.
All right. So Kenny, why don't you make me a? Let's see. What's the thing? Make me an insight check, Kenny, to see if you notice if that Walden's definitely cheating at Steal the Rib. And if you don't notice, then he's gonna take you too. That's a nat one.
Wowzers!
This is amazing.
Sorry, buddy.
Wow. You got taken, so you lose your pants. You lose your
That's
pants.
so great. All right, so you come away, Walden. It's a good evening.
You steal the rib.
Basically, yeah, you you steal the rib. You do a really good job of ripping off the other sailors who are around, and you win yourself a total of 35 gold. And you also win 10 gold from Kenny. Additionally, there's a locket that's got like a pretty lady in it that you win from this one guy. There is several I'd say it's like a small box, rather, not several, I shouldn't say. There's like a small box that's basically a small like drug users kit. It's got like a bunch of stuff that you imagine that you know of that you would like snort, and it's gonna get you all hopped up. And it's and the box itself is pretty fucking cool.
Nice.
And you also find yourself in possession of I'm trying to think of what Kenny's gonna put up. Because you said you're winning personal effects.
Yeah.
Kenny got a 1.
Yeah, what's on Kenny's character sheet?
Oh no, I know what I put up.
What do you put
I
up?
put up my rare mushroom, my rare 1 mushroom. that
Oh
I-
yeah,
I
perfect.
traded from the Snibnevlin.
Yeah, in the underground.
Yeah, he said that compared to the apple-sized ones that heal 1d6 and are fairly trippy, it's definitely,
It's a trip
it's way better.
in both
So
aspects.
that's what I put. I put that one up.
Yeah, isn't it? How much are the apple-sized mushrooms? 1d6?
Yeah, it's.
Wasn't that one 3d6 and it was like mega trip?
Oh no, I never got to know. I think it was just more of a mega trip and not really a healing mushroom. 12 apple size.
Oh yeah. Give me that shroom.
Yeah,
Nom,
man.
nom, nom,
Put
nom, nom,
on
nom.
your character, you have one blue apple-sized mushroom.
Walden then proceeds to attempt to spend the rest of the night throwing himself off the boat because he's tripping sack.
Viz, you get your sending back from Jake.
Okay, good. Thank goodness. But, okay, guys, the Ferrin Company is no more. The East Frost Line has taken over. I sent a sending to Jake, and he responded. He's gonna go meet up with Sycamore, a friend of mine in Easton. But yeah, so the Ferrin Company's gone. It's just now destroyed by the Frost Line.
Wow.
What's the ferry company?
The Farron Company was like the East Indian Company, right?
They were kind of like the governmental structure on Cal.
Yeah. They were, yeah, they were, they were the government.
Kenny, can you roll me a d20 for the last day? Or sorry, for the 4th day? Not the last day.
Who sent that to you?
Jake.
Sycamore? Jake.
A D20, just a regular old
Just
20.
a regular old straight
How
old.
about that 14?
Yeah. Again, a fairly nice day on the seas. You guys pass a few small islands and things. And it's the 4th day. You guys begin to make your way now down here, if you want to look on the map, towards the aerial coast. And are going to begin to sort of pass into the bay. And sort of this last day is going to take you across the bay. So this area is new to you guys. The seas are sort of fairly calm in this spot. The sun is bright and warm, and everything's sort of a little humid here in the air. And you can see that there is a lot of trade and commerce going on in this region. So you pass by this little port town of Castillo, and you notice that there's fishing boats and stuff like that all throughout the bay. Castillo probably has about half a dozen medium-sized boats docked at its harbor, and you can see that there's people working and stuff like that on the docks. As you look across the bay towards the rest of these islands here, you notice that there's these enormous mountains that sort of rise out of the center of the land in front of you. And the bay is big and round, and you can see where the river sort of comes down, and there's this big bridge just to the east of Ukozi. And you can see that Ukozi is sort of a walled city. See, there's a big, broad dock on this side of the port. And then you can see the walls even from here, that they're probably pretty tall, at least 20 feet, you would imagine, and surround this, what you can only describe as a city. There's probably a couple, maybe 200 or so buildings, small and large, homes and trading shops and all sorts of things like that. But you can see that most of the rest of the bay is fairly uninhabited. There's a lot of sand beaches and things like that, and you can see that there's just not a ton of. It's not like it's like super populated along all of the shores. It's not like there's cities and stuff like that everywhere. But you can see that Ukozi is sort of one of the biggest attractions in the area, and there's dozens of fishing vessels and shipping boats and stuff like that in the harbor. And on the 5th day, as you guys begin to, you'll probably make it to port within like by early afternoon or so. And one of the things that becomes very apparent as you guys are sailing into port is that there are two enormous. I think is it two? Hold on. Sorry, let me check. Yeah, two enormous ships are docked at this port, and they dwarf the other. Like, there's like 6 like large trading ships there that are about the size of your vessel or so, and then there's 2 enormous like war galleons that are docked here.
They're not flying an elvish flag, are they?
They're flying a bright blue flag with a what's it called? A snowflake on it.
Frostline.
Oh shit! Really?
This is not the way I wanted this to.
And they're sort of just docked. You can see that they're not like hanging out in the harbor. They're right up at the docks and stuff. You don't see any like, the place isn't on fire or anything like that. It's not like it's like, oh my god, like the hellfire's everywhere.
No, maybe we should just be quiet.
But so you do notice that these 2 ships, you're not sure if they're the same ones that you've encountered before. You don't see, panicked. You guys like immediately scan the skies for griffin riders or anything like that, and you don't see anything along those sorts.
No dragons with liches riding them.
No, nothing like that. No demons rolling through the plain.
That's
But it does look like, the city itself seems pretty busy. And you do see that as you guys begin to sort of pull closer to things, Ringo's staying on course. He's like, and, if you guys can talk to him if you want.
Ringo, we've got Frostline in the harbor.
I'm sorry. Was I uncursed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So that affects how I will. Okay, great. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Remember what happened when you were cursed, Nate. So I don't know how that affects you when you're uncursed.
Morally.
No, because there were some things that you did.
Yes. I would like to take Kenny aside when we have a second.
Yeah, you can do that now. Go right ahead.
Kenny.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm really sorry I've been acting weird the last couple of days. While you were sleeping, I took something of yours, and I would like to return it. Here is your knife of giant slaying.
Oh, thanks. I just assume it was also cursed. It's after you guys all got cursed, so I thought it maybe, because I didn't attune to it, it seeked out another person to harm. I'm glad to have it back. Maybe we can throw it into the bay. You want to go throw it into the bay with me?
Let's give it to the Frostline.
That would be very...
Oh, hey.
Okay.
Viz, that's fairly devious.
I'm also going to light the ships on fire tonight, so, that's fun.
Let's just affirm that they are in fact Frostline.
If they are in fact Frostline.
And again, we may want to be
Again, I don't want to be seen.
Inconspicuous.
Incognito.
Inconspicuous. Hey, Mr. Voice in the Sky. Did by any chance we see a plesiosaur in the water around the Dragon Islands?
No.
A plesiosaurus? No.
No.
All right.
Sorry, bub.
That's a good level 2 swimming thing. That's
So Ringo's sort of piloting you guys in. I was like, well, I knew they'd catch up with us sometime, but I don't know if they know my boat or not.
Well,
Well, we'll find out.
well,
Well, we kind of look like a lot of other boats.
we could lash on the figurehead real quick. That'll throw him off the scent.
I got a few flags to fly.
Ah,
Um,
classic
Kenny's
piracy.
gonna get, as we're saying all this, Kenny's like runs downstairs and like throws open the stash bag and pulls out a bunch of vestments.
mm-hmm.
Oh, for
And
us,
like-
yes.
We should dress a bunch of people in different vestments. Yeah.
I think we can probably pull something off like that.
I
We
mean,
got enough
have,
time.
We have 500 gold worth of vestments.
Yeah, no, you guys took all those things and never got rid of them.
Yep.
Nice.
Wait, do you think that they would? Wait, you want to disguise us in those?
I mean, they may be looking for us specifically.
Well,
I'd say
last time-
under hushed tones to everybody, you know, as a gathered huddle.
Didn't we? Weren't we wearing vestments when we beat up a bunch of them in Jasper's Falls? They,
We also
I think
story.
they were different vestments.
oh, I see.
But
Hey
you
man,
may be
you know
correct.
me. It was my that I will always trick people with vestments. So if that's what we decide to do, I think it's a great idea.
I'll toss one at you then, and I'll toss one at
I'll
Viz and
play dress up.
Valiant.
All right, are you guys going to dress the crew?
Yeah,
No.
as many vestments as I got.
All right. I'd say you had how much worth?
500 GP.
All right, so I'll say that you have 30 of them.
All right.
And it's more than enough to dress the crew.
All right. So
Um,
can I cross this out of
Yeah.
the stuff in the stash bag?
Mhm.
I mean,
Unless you
that's
want to
a
collect
good-
them all back.
No, I think it's a good use of our of something in the stash bag.
You're just trying to clean out. Clean out.
So are you guys going to sail into port then?
I think if that's what, well, obviously we're gonna go with what Ringo thinks we should do. It's his boat, right?
Well, Ringo's
Yeah.
at the helm. He's like, well, boys, I think we should just go right in.
All right.
I look at our head cleric, our level 3 cleric, and I'm like, what does Gobetta say?
Well,
Do you have a
Best way to-
spell that can help guide us?
Also, by the way, there's something I need to start doing that I haven't been. Every day after a long rest, I get a portent, and I can roll 2d20 and use them whenever I want throughout the day. But I have to use them before the roll is made, and I can use them on another creature. So if I roll lowly, I can like force a creature to have a low roll. But I have to foretell it before they make their roll. So
Interesting.
Oh.
I have a 1 and a 13. All right.
That's
Ooh, a
pretty
1?
awesome. You should write that down.
Yeah.
can you
You make
use your one?
Against somebody
Like-
else, yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up.
I can like force another creature to have rolled a 1, so I'm actually kind of jazzed about that.
Yeah. All right. So Ringo says, "Well, I think we should just head on in." And you asked. I'm sorry. You asked Billy Bob what he thought, right?
Yeah, I asked if he perhaps has a spell to guide us.
I may not have a
Gobetta
spell,
has.
but Gobetta
does
has
he
some
have
scripture that shall
Does he have
guide us.
guidance?
He pulls out. He pulls out a book. That's some of the teachings of Gobetta, and he begins to recite about a passage about knowing thine enemy, and about how in order to gain the upper hand, one must pass as a wolf in sheep's clothing as times.
Woo!
And that sometimes, being, he gives this sermon for probably about like 10 minutes or so. About just like,
Jesus, man, you got him
as
going.
we're passing by the elf ships.
yeah, exactly. Well, as you're passing into the harbor, and he's like, sometimes the best thing is um, to work with your enemy to know them better, so that you can use their tricks and wiles against them when the time comes. Uh,
I look at him with seething fury and gritting teeth and go, I hope your god guides us gracefully, cleric. I have dreamed of this for years. I will not have my ambitions soiled by these foolhards.
Ooh,
well,
intense. I like your passion.
Hopefully, you're able to keep all of our heads above water. Then, Valion.
I make no promise.
Yeah.
All
let's,
right.
let's get
So
into
you
port,
guys
gentlemen.
sail into port. There is not much docking space, but you find that on the far southeastern side, you guys are finding a little bit of a docking area.
Hmm.
So new maps. New maps.
And
Um,
Joe, those were Frostline garments, right? Vestments.
No, I think they were from one of the
no, they're from
ancient.
the Ilrasu Lunari.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're
Yep.
from
Yeah.
Lunari.
Okay.
Ooh, look at this little nappy.
All
Nappy poo.
right.
Mappity
So
poo.
yeah, this one's like mostly done. I added some elements from Roll20, like the tents in the boats, but everything else is drawn up. So
Looks awesome.
you
Are we
guys,
all the way on the far
you guys are
right
this
hand side?
ship here, yeah. So you guys have come into port, and just got some tea.
Ooh.
So you guys come into port, and as you come in, the city itself is bustling. You can see all on the eastern side of the city. There's all of these tents set up, and it looks like all of the people who were housed in these war galleons are camped on the outside of this town. You can see flags flying and standards and stuff like that on some of the major tents that are blue with the Frostline insignia. So it looks like the Frostline are establishing some sort of military installation here. We're not really
Such
sure what's
dicks.
going
Over my dead body.
on.
It will be if you start fucking with them, Visverdale.
I will.
But I would say one poignant thing to say about it though is that it doesn't look like they're laying siege to this town. It looks like they're just camped outside of it. And it doesn't look like in a threatening way. It's like they're sort of like close to the entrances and stuff. So it seems like more that because of lack of housing, they're in
They're
tents
being
outside the
occupied.
city.
Man, all the whorehouses gonna be done filled up.
Yes,
Ooh,
that's true.
definitely. As you get onto, as you guys begin to dock, and the sailors on the Rancid sort of throw all the lines ashore and sort of get things going, you can see there's 6 trading vessels that are set up here, and these 2 war galleons, and you can see members of the Frostline, uniformed and stuff like that, like walking up and down uh, the docks. And the dockmaster and some of the dock hands and stuff bring you guys in. And dockmaster comes aboard, goes up to Ringo, and sort of they have their conversation. And after some money changes hands and such, you guys are sort of Ringo's like, all right, well, looks like docking fees are all taken care of, and we'll be here for the night, and then we set sail in the first thing in the morning.
We will send word for you with further.
So I can do whatever trading and such I want here. If you guys are looking to stay longer than just tonight, which it seems like you might be, we're gonna head up the coast of Virginia, I think.
Thank you
We'll be
again.
back.
Aaron. I will do my best to establish something.
Now I'll be in contact. I'll be in port back here. Should be about 10 days, maybe 12.
10 to 12 days.
If
Okay.
you guys need a ride.
Where are you going from here when you're back next?
Back down to
The Dragon
Bumpin'.
Isles? Yes. Alright.
So, boys, it's been a good time.
Well, yes, this may be the last time we'll have used your services, and we thank you immensely for everything you've done.
You go for the forearm clasp again, and he just like gives you the straight up hug.
I'll hug.
This is difficult of me to ask, but may I ask a favor of you, Captain?
He like tousles your hair, even though he's considerably younger than you. Short, and it's very patronizing. And he's like, anything.
Will you take care of my dog?
What?
Whoa.
He's like,
hey.
you know, me and Buster here have really become good companions. Buster's like,
That makes
Monty.
me happy.
you know, he like spins in a circle and stuff a few times.
We'll do the best to, I'll do the best to leave you with his bags and harnesses and such. Boys, I think we're gonna have to shoulder some weight when we walk the plank.
And Monty, well, sorry, I should say, Buster comes up and, like when a dog like runs up to you and you put your hands down, and he like puts his head in your hands, kind of thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you like give him a scratch and stuff, and you can, you've got like a little bit of a discussion type of thing with him almost, like a,
Mm-hmm.
and you can tell he's like, I'll always be Monty to you, bud.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, good boy. The good is the boys.
But we all know my name's Buster.
And he like, then runs back to Ringo and like circles around him. And so you guys
I'm just gonna
unload the
keep it on the
stuff.
dog, quote unquote, but we're gonna have to figure out what we're all carrying
Yeah.
eventually.
Wait,
Yeah.
why don't you want your dog? I guess I won't bother. I won't
He's
question
gonna be
you, man.
safer. I have a feeling on this ship with these guys in the next couple of weeks. That's all. He enjoys it here, and I don't want to pull him into more danger if he can get some legitimate good times.
Yeah, man. I mean, okay.
If you love something, you gotta let it go, Walden.
I guess so.
All right.
We'll lose it in a game of Steal the Rib.
So, do you guys head down onto the docks and stuff and into the city?
I chased down the dockmaster.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. That he's still basically right by the plank. Looks like he's got like a ledger that he's just like scribbling in with like some little like stick or something like that.
I approach him and say, "Sir, how long have these war galleons been here?"
Oh, what, the frost line?
Yes.
Oh, I'd say the galleons came into port. What was it? I think the men unpacked probably about 5 days ago.
What are they doing here?
Oh, helping us out.
What?
Real life send, if you wouldn't say, right?
How so?
Well, all the trouble's been going on with the neighboring tribes and everything like that to the east. Frostline
happening to the-
seemed like they'd do us a favor. Help us out.
What's happening with the tribe?
We are new here. Can you tell us more?
Want to know
Wow.
more?
I mean, I might not be the one to talk to, and besides, boy, I kind of got work to do.
All right,
There's
all
a
right.
tavern down the way. I'm sure there's plenty of folk you can talk to.
Yeah, that's fair.
Thank
He nods at you and sort of goes back to writing into his ledger.
There's a tavern up ahead. we should start there.
We should.
Oh yeah.
All right. So,
I need a drink.
all right. So we're just gonna sort of leave it on this map for now. So you guys head down the docks, passing numerous people, and arriving in this town. You know, you guys have been sort of in a isolated village for the past couple days, and previous to that, have just been sort of running around and stuff. So having a little bit of anonymity in a big town, it's kind of nice to be back in a port. And here, there's sailors and tradesmen and stuff like that unloading all sorts of goods from these vessels. You pass numerous Frostline troops, militia, whatever you want to call them. Viz, you see one or two robed figures in like the Frostline blue that give you that sort of like kind of feeling to them.
All right.
You also notice there's a couple orcs mixed in with the humans and other mixed race in their ranks.
No one
but it
seems
doesn't
disturbed by that?
Nobody seems to be too disturbed by that. There are the occasional half-orc around, but it seems like people are a little like, well, whatever. Making your way down the... Let's give you guys a token to use. We'll just use Billy Bob. Making your way down the docks and sort of up onto dry land. Let's see. Here. So basically, one of the first places you guys encounter is like the docks tavern. It's called the Greasy Bugbear. And so there's kind of like a weird smell outside the Greasy Bugbear, and that's going to be this building right here. And the reason there's kind of a weird smell outside the Greasy Bugbear is you get the mix of like the fish docks smell, sort of mixed with like this almost like eucalyptus type smell from this sort of eucalyptus like florally smell that's sort of wafting through the air. And then there's like smoked meats and smelting iron and stuff, and so it's just like a mix of weird in this area. And you can see that this the tavern is sort of like a stucco-looking building with sort of like a brown shingled roof and a little vegetable garden off to one side. And it looks like there's sort of people. There's the occasional person coming and going as you guys are making your way up the steps and can see it in the distance. And there's a little sort of sandwich board out front with some specials written on it. It says fish pie and fries with a glass of wine, only 5 silver. There's some a lamb burger and a chocolate steamed bun also on the menu.
Ooh.
I think I need
So, yeah, are you guys going to head in, or are you guys looking to go somewhere else?
It's as good as place as
Sort of
any
the
to
first-
start gathering information.
Yeah, it's sort of the first place you guys have come across.
Kenny's stomach rumbles, and he's like, and all of that I will take everything on that sandwich board.
Yeah, same.
All
Let's
right,
go.
so you guys push in the doors and head into the Greasy Bugbear. So this place is, I don't know, not crowded, but there's a decent amount of people in here. It's like lunch hour.
Is it greasy?
It's a little greasy. You imagine maybe the greasiness has to do more with the food than the actual place. There's a number of hunting trophies that line the walls. And basically there's all sorts of like pots and miscellaneous supplies hanging from the ceiling. And there's a dance floor in one of the corners. No one greets you when you walk in or anything like that. There's no like maitre d' or host or anything like that. It seems like, locals and sailors and stuff are at the bar. And there's some tables and stuff around as well. So what do you guys do?
I will get in line to order, and I would just taking the tavern, the people, and try to absorb it all and see if anyone stands out.
All right. So you kind of get up towards the bar then, I'd say, to place an order. And you can see that there is a let's see. There's a human male who's behind the bar.
Is there space at the bar to sit for the whole party?
It looks like, yeah, you guys can probably at least fit enough for you guys at the bar. Yeah.
Yeah, let's all
say
just sit
yes.
at the bar.
Yeah, I like that.
It's a good place to gather information.
So you guys pull yourself up at the bar. There's a halfling on like that. So like if you guys are 4 across, there's a halfling on the left, and then there's a human male on the right. And the halfling's, sort of tan skin halfling. Same thing with the human. They're both about middle aged or so. So there's another middle-aged, sort of dark-skinned human behind the bar, and he kind of little grumpy. And after several minutes, maybe a little bit longer than you would want, he comes up and he's like, "All right, what are y'all drinking?"
Whiskey for me.
Yeah, wait, what time of the day is it?
I got ale, I got wine, I got whiskey.
I'll take a whiskey.
Tommy, what time of the day is it?
It's like afternoon.
I'll take a wine.
I'll take one of everything on the sandwich board, please.
And yes, some
Alright.
food. That burger sounds great.
Got it. Lamb burger, potatoes, comes with the ale.
Sure.
One of everything for everything. I will cover them all.
You got it. He like rings a little bell. He's like, round of specials. It's like seem to be throwing around a lot of coin. Where are you boys coming from? As he starts like opening a cask for some ale and like pouring a glass of wine.
I just got lucky with some trade recently, but we were wondering how long the frost line's been here.
There. You can see like one of the frost line at the end of the bar, like sort of like leans in a little bit to listen. He's like, let's see. First one, I'd say 2 weeks. A lot of them arrived 5 days ago.
Trade, it seems, mostly, or
Helping out. Really a godsend, you'd say.
I heard there was some tribal issues to the east.
Yeah. He finishes pouring some of the ales and stuff and passes them out to you guys. Like drying his hands. He's like, well, yeah, I mean, we've always had troubles with our neighbors to the east. Kentucky, a couple sons of bitches over there. But, since they gained power over the past few years and they've been sort of prodding and poking and enough's enough. They tried to make an offensive maybe about a month ago. Killed a couple dozen people.
And the
War's
frost
war.
line were there to help, right? To the frost line, I'll say as I raise my glass.
There's maybe a couple people are like, yeah. The guy who's a frost line is like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I mean, the Kentucky have started war. They're amassing troops on the border. And it's the Po, New Eshe, we've lost dozens of men. It's a shame. And as he's sort of like talking about it, the halfling who's I'd say on your left, Kenny, because you're the one I would say who's furthest on the left.
Yes,
He like
that's
elbows
what I
he
would
like
also
elbows you in
sit
the rib.
next to the halfling.
He like elbows you in the rib. He's like, it's only part of the story.
Oh. I'll slip into. I'll ask him in Gnomish if he speaks Gnomish.
Let me see if he speaks Gnomish.
Felyuan's like, yeah.
Viz will keep talking to the bartender to keep that going.
So yeah, this gnome, let's see, he's wearing a little tight yellow one-piece outfit, complete with pants, hood, and a cape. He sports a flat-top haircut. He's got a red hat on.
Wow.
He looks like Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon. He's a halfling, but does this halfling speak Gnomish?
He's a monk.
Hey. He does not speak Gnomish.
False.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I'd be interested in the other part of that story if you could find a place to tell it to me.
Ooh.
I'll say, kind of,
Well, actually, yes, we've been traveling quite a bit. Actually, sorry, Joe, are you hearing so we can... Are you talking so we can overhear? Because I was going to suggest we find rooms and we could talk in there.
Well, so Joe, Kenny, I should say, the halfling, he picks up his drink, and like, he's like, a couple coins and I'll tell you all about it. And he picks up his drink and sort of walks to one of the tables in the corner and sits down.
I'll be right back, gents. I'll pat everybody on the back. Keep my food warm. And I'll walk over to the corner while I pack my pipe and light it on the way to the corner.
Yes, I will keep it warm in my belly.
And I'll keep your beer cold in mine.
So you sit down, he sits down and he kicks out a chair for you. He's like, I'm full bar, Thorn Gauge.
Full bar Thor Gauge?
Full
bar Thorn Gauge.
Yeah. So, seems you're pretty new in town. Asking lots of questions, throwing around money and whatnot.
I mean, I
so
didn't know.
There's extra of that.
Know the equivalent of 4 gold was throwing around money, but
couple more of those gold would inform you.
Oh no, I've already put it on the table, covered, by my drink, and I'll just pick my drink back up, and the gold's sitting on the bar underneath the cup.
He'll put his drink down in front of you and slide it back towards himself. He's like, you see, it all started. He begins to you see he's putting up his feet to spin a tail. He's like,
I'm just gonna make a intuition, an insight
yeah,
check.
go ahead, insight check. Go ahead.
I think I get a +6, which is pretty good.
Oh.
17.
All right. So it seems like he's on the up and up. He might embellish a thing here or two,
Okay, but
just to make it sound
mostly
cooler.
good information.
Yeah. So he said, it's been years, about 8 years, since the Kintaku really changed their stance. And the Po and the Ueshe really had to step up and fight back a little bit. But 14 months ago was the start of it all. They mounted their first offensive, attacked a few tribal villages. Hundreds of Po and Ueshe men and women died fighting and defending their lands. I'm a priest. I come here to try to heal people. And I find that the Kintaku, even with their fewer numbers, they've decimated villages with their seemingly strangely superior weaponry and some kind of odd technology. The villagers describe them as kind of like guns. Shoot some sort of bolts of energy, or they have these rolling mechanical vehicles of some sort. But whatever it is, some sort of power that the Kintaku have harnessed. You
So
see,
what does that have to do with the frost line?
well, it was about 2 weeks ago, 20 days, that it all started. Kintaku pushed forward again on the Eastern Front. And they finally did something that none of us thought was possible. Started taking territory. They pushed across the river, and they took the eastern city of Katura. Seems like they're bound on expanding deeper and deeper, and perhaps taking over the entire continent.
What was the name of that town across the river that they took?
Katura.
Katura.
Now, I
Have
think
they
their goal
issued
is
any
unifying
demands, or-
this. Well, their goal is unifying the island under their rule, and it seems like they're going to stop at nothing to do so. At the time, we were powerless against their defenses, or against their offenses, rather. And I've seen some terrible things. Some men coming back, disfigured in ways I couldn't imagine. And then comes the frost line. They've reached a deal with the USA and Po governors in exchange for some secure trade deals. Basically, the frost line have offered to help out with the Kentucky. They're gonna lend some fighting force, some men, and they've lent supplies, rations, fresh water, all sorts of things, let alone sort of machines of war that'll be very helpful in fighting the Kentucky. In exchange, they just want to help march towards the city of Rubia for some reason.
The city of Ruby. Well, we're not there, but
That's
a good
So-
interesting.
There's about
Frost Line wants to take Rubia.
120 men who are stationed here already. And it looks like the remaining galleons should be arriving in the next 3 days or so.
All right.
So, now my turn for a question.
Well, I paid for my question. Do you
Yeah.
intend on paying me?
No, but I got a question.
I may have
Someone
an
new in
answer.
town. Why so much interest in the frost line?
Let's just say the Frost Line once had interest in someone I knew. Yeah,
He like nods at that.
I'll lean in and say, the man in question put 2 arrows into the chest of a Frost Line operative.
Yeah, he
No
fucking did.
questions asked.
Man.
Well,
I just so happen to know where that man may have gone. Do you want me to make a bluff check? I'm telling truths, but not fully.
no, that's fine.
Did you know where he went?
So you
And-
sort of,
and this
finish
is
your
all true.
conversation with him, unless there's anything else you want to try to get out of him.
I'm just gonna ask him, do you believe the Frostline's intentions are all pure?
He looks at you sort of tries to guess who you are, like who asks that kind of question. He's like, pure? Maybe not. Helpful? Definitely.
War does make strange bedfellows, and I'll cheers his glass as I walk back to the bar,
Yeah.
hoping my food is there warm and not being pilfered by Falyuan.
Falyuan's gotten halfway into it because he's already
Fuck.
wolfed down his shit.
I pull it away from him as I hit the bar, and I order another serving for me.
I just
look
imagine
at that,
Falyuan.
Hey, I paid for that.
Well, yeah. Well, you could pay for my second one then too.
Yeah, like the lamb, there's the fish pie is still left because Falyuan's had enough fish, but
but
there's
I
the lamb
wanted my
burger
lamb burger.
and the chocolate steam bun that were yours are both gone.
No,
I wanted
those are the
both
best
of those
parts. You monster.
Yeah. It's like when they're like, yeah, we don't have enough chicken and fish, so you get nothing. on the
Kenny,
airplane.
can you roll me a d20?
What's
Me?
that?
Yeah. Kenny, roll me a d20. I want a luck roll. All right, cool. Yeah, they still have chocolate buns. You're good.
Yay!
Anything else with the conversation with the bartender?
I would like to ask, sort of the lay of the land. You know, what the shops are nearby, who's to be trusted, like armaments, smithies, where we can rent a room if possible.
All right.
Also, what was the name of that town that the Frost Line, Kenny, that the Frost Line was looking at?
Rubio.
Yeah, I'd like to ask how far that town is from here, as well.
Let's see. Well, as far as stuff in town, there's a few things to note. I mean, there's all sorts of things, but things I would suggest you to, friends of mine, things that I think are rather interesting. There's a good blacksmith in town,
Hmm.
Reynolds Scabbard. Reynard's a good friend of mine. His shop's not far from the temple. He does a good job. He's good with fixing all sorts of things. Good at mending. Good at.
Does he have a specialty, like blades or axes or spears?
Shields mostly.
Okay.
Also fine weapons crafter and ammunition smith.
All right.
Now there's a local alchemist, Guy Kent.
Okay.
He owns a place called the Cordial Dose.
That's good. Alchemy, you say? So, herbology, tinctures,
healing herbs, potions, those type of things.
the like.
Now you also got well, I don't know. You seem like a fellow who might like something off the beaten path a little bit.
You know me. You don't, but you know.
Check out this shop. It's called the Meyerlurk's Saber.
Hmm. What are they?
Mine is a strange lady, but she's got some interesting items in there. Things people like you might find interesting.
Interesting. All right, I'll go check it out. Where is that in town?
Oh, she's let's see. She's gonna be on the north side of town.
All right.
Up in Six Bowls.
Well then,
Oh, lastly, probably want a general store, right?
Yeah, we could use basic supplies.
Wilhelmina's Potter.
Where's she?
It's a great store. She's right up in the market.
Okay. Which is where? We literally just stepped off the docks.
Oh, well, you're in the port now. So you'll want to go, you're going to want to just go up here, straight up into Brewell. That's sort of the, the market district, if you will.
Alrighty.
But if you boys are new in town looking for a place to stay, what kind of accommodations you looking for? Something nice? Something not so nice?
We don't need anything
Middle
too
of the
fancy,
road.
but we also, we don't want springs sticking into our buttholes.
Springs in your buttholes.
You know the old saying.
Hay mattresses and all being the height of,
Yeah, these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
know
getting a
why
little
you
too
have a
fancy
spring.
for you boys.
Viz, I don't know why you have springs anywhere near your butthole.
We don't talk about that kind of shush.
All right, so he
No, I'm gonna ask, what's the poshest place in town?
Yeah, I mean,
the nicest place in town.
Yeah, poshest abode that we can stay at in town.
Hey
The
guys,
Hound
I'm
of
sorry.
Dragon.
I gotta run, but I wanna find cerulean activity. at
Okay.
some point.
Ooh,
That's-
all right,
Ooh,
cool.
yeah.
But
That'll
but
be
I have to
next
run
week.
right now.
Night,
Yeah,
man.
next
All right,
week.
man.
That
Night,
sounds
bud.
awesome, actually.
All right, good session, guys.
I
Night,
also
guys.
want to find Walden some cerulean action.
I
All right.
unfortunately would like to go to sleep soon, though.
So he points you guys in the direction of the Hound and Dragon.
The Hound
Okay.
and Dragon, that's the poshiest place.
Yes.
And that is
Um,
Quest
It's
or...
in like sort of a noble, in like the more noble ward.
Okay.
It's going to be towards the sort of northeast side of town. Surrounded by quaint avenues and sprawling manors, the street outside is lined with grand trees. And he tells you the innkeeper is named Ariel. She's a female elf. He thinks she's a little snooty, but she's got the nicest rooms in town.
One last place. Where's your best coffee?
Well, you're gonna want to go to the. You're definitely gonna want to go to Dragon's Breath Cup.
We can hit it on the way to the inn.
They're downtown. They specialize in they got coffees from all over the islands.
We will definitely go there.
And at that, he brings out your the second round of food, and you guys get to eat
I
safe
feel
and
like-
sound on the island.
That should be a good fade out point, us
Yeah,
starting
I
our
think that's
meal.
Exactly, a perfect point to end.
Well, guys, let me stop the stream real quick.
Let's stop the streams.
Thanks everybody who ain't watching. I'm gonna just call out the users in chat right now who might all be. Yeah, I think they're all just bots. But anyway,
bots.
thanks
We love you.
bots. Love you. Couldn't do it without you.
Bots.
And Quest took